everybody, welcome to Eden.fractal, meeting number 35. Today is Wednesday, February 1st, and we're here. Just about to go into breakout rooms in a few minutes. We started recording a little late. We were talking with Rosemary, who was joined for the first time. She was invited by Douglas, and we were talking about all the cool aspects of Eden and Fractally and so forth, and she was introducing herself. So if you'd like to say a couple words while we're on recording now, then you can feel free to do so. If anybody else would like to say hi, or say any words before we go into the breakout rooms, then feel free to do so as well. I can also make a couple really quick announcements too, and just outline the agenda for after the breakout rooms as well. So I suppose I'll do that in just a minute or so. But before I share any outline or before we go into breakout rooms, does anyone want to say hello or say anything? Hope everybody's doing well. Thanks for joining. And if not, that's okay too. Of course, we were having a very lively conversation beforehand, so sometimes it can be like a start-stop thing. Oh, I saw you were saying something there, Rosemary, but you're muted. Were you trying to say something?
No, really, I was laughing. Yeah, great to be here and seeing what Eden has to offer me, offer us, and offer everyone. And no, I'm glad I'm here already, and hearing all these amazing thoughts. So yeah, let's get going.
Okay. Cool. Well, it sounds great. Thanks so much, Rosemary. And thanks also Eric and Perry for helping to share some of the awesome things with Rosemary before we started recording. We'll get some of those on recording in the future so people can hear all the awesome things. Also, by the way, Rosemary, Ebony just shared some links to get an EOS account with Wombat and some other places too in the Zoom chat, so you can check those out. When you have time and during the meeting, then we can figure out and make it work however we can. Also, welcome JZA as well. You joined for the first time last week, and I appreciate you joining here earlier. We actually went through a bit of the way this process works. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I just noticed that you joined, but really appreciate you joining. It was great talking to you last week. But we're going to go into breakout rooms now, where we'll play the Eden plus Fractal consensus game, ranking contributions and electing a delegate and so forth. We'll go into there in just a minute. And feel free to ask any questions. I'll also say too, Tadas just released a really cool new app called a web app, a first version called Fractalgram 2, or Fractalgram rather. And it's a way that we can use a Telegram web app to reach consensus. It sounds really cool and really exciting. At some point, if you want to introduce that briefly to Tadas, then we can, but that's an option that you can use this week or in future weeks. He also just shared that in the Telegram chat. And we also had a brainstorming session yesterday for changing the MSIG, and I put together an article at edencreators.com/MSIG, and there's two proposals from Patrick and Tadas about the MSIG that we can discuss in the hour after the breakout rooms. There's a bit more I could say, but we're a bit late out of time already. So does anybody want to say anything first? Tadas, do you want to introduce the Fractalgram at all, or should we just jump into the breakout rooms now?
I think we should jump in. Not a lot of time.
Sounds good. I agree. And we can give it more time later because there's a lot to discuss. Okay, cool. So I'll start the breakout rooms now. And welcome Pascal and JCA and Marco. Great to see you all. I hope you all have a great time. The rooms are open. And see you there or see you after. Hey, everyone.
Hello.
Yo.
How you doing? Would anybody like? I'm sorry. What's that, Pascal?
No, I say good.
Cool. I'm glad to hear. Would anybody like to? Well, two questions. One, would anybody like to moderate for this breakout room? And then, secondly, would anybody like to share any other thoughts or anything like that before we start getting into the process? I'm happy to moderate if you guys would like. What?
Yeah. I was about to ask, can you moderate?
Yep. I'm happy to moderate. But just putting the offer out there, if anybody else wants to, that's cool too. But yeah, I'm happy to do it. Okay, cool. So, does anybody have any thoughts you want to share first, or should we jump into contributions? And if we're ready to jump into contributions, then would anybody like to share what you've been doing first?
Maybe I can start since I want to say something about the tool that we could use to reach consensus, and at the same time I will maybe introduce my contributions. Yeah, so my main contribution this week is again work on the Telegram based a new kind of Telegram client app which helps fractally process by creating special kind of polls and automating other actions. I recently posted a new article which introduces this tool basically and explains how to use it. I just shared a link to it in the chat. Yeah. Also, I participated in eden.fractal brainstorming sessions yesterday, where we discussed the MSIG proposals, and there I came up with another proposal, and I created a poll for it in consortium, and I think we could try passing it today after the breakout rooms. And other than that, I've been getting back to work on my firmament project. Now I'm turning to the smart contract part is pretty much done. It needs a bit more testing, but now I'm turning to the front end side, and yeah, can't wait to see how it will integrate with this Telegram based tool. Yeah, and I think we can test this Telegram tool in this breakout room today. So I will create a group, Telegram group, and post a link in the chat where. So it would be cool if everybody here would join. Yeah. Thanks. That's all from me.
Awesome. Thank you, Tadas. Yeah, I'm stoked about this tool and the proposal and everything. So thank you so much. Would you like to select somebody to go next, or does anybody have any questions or thoughts for Tadas first?
Yeah, thanks, Tadas. Just a quick question. What's the app is supposed to do? Help us do reach consensus, create user account, or
yeah, so the app basically automates creation of a specific kind of Telegram polls in the chat. Specifically, it helps create a poll for each level, each rank, and then for a delegate. And then there is another button which basically reads all the polls and constructs a results message which shows who is ranked at which level, and it also constructs a link to Vlad's React app where we can submit this consensus. And the link is such that you click it and you get the form with fields already filled in, so you only need to press submit.
Okay. Okay. I'm happy that you publish on Hive blockchain, so it's good to keep it. I'll upvote. So
thanks. Yeah. And Pascal, maybe you can go next.
Yeah, thanks. Hi everyone. This week I haven't had any contribution directly linked to eden.fractal. The main thing that I've done is to publish an article on the new the extension of the Yield Plus program, the ZFI on iOS. I've been looking at it and then it's going very well. So the ENF extended with another 300,000 EOS this program. And all the research that I found is that in terms of ZFI, EOS is diverging from the other layer one chain. So it's a good thing for us as a community. Maybe I'll just publish the article here. So it's a good sign that ZFI is going well on EOS. So it's we are moving in a good direction in terms of total value log, and in terms of how people are leveraging this program to get some yield on their EOS. So I just want to mention that. On the personal side, my projects on Tiagori has been going well. I would say in less than 1 week to open the platform when people can write article about EOS, about Bitcoin, and then get rewarded. I really believe in rewarding those that are creating content, especially on the EOS, because we don't have many contents that's online. So if we can have a place where we publish EOS contents, Bitcoin contents, and then get rewarded for that, it's good for us as a community. One differentiation that I'm bringing in this project is the way to do fractal governance. So Tiago, we're gonna have a council, and then this council will be meeting every week to and then get the power to reward those that are creating content. I want to thank Dan and Tadas for their continuous support on this project, and I'm looking forward to form as soon as possible the council. So thanks for your support. So I will go to Vlad.
I was going to say before Vlad, I was going to say thank you, and you're very welcome. I'm very happy to support what you're doing with Duggery, and am very much looking forward to the release, be able to post and stuff like that, and the Knowledge Council and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to talking more about that, and thank you. That's all though.
So mostly I've been focusing on contracts, smart contracts for the next iteration of what we're doing. And yeah, there's one problem that I've been, I think, with the last 3 days. Quite a puzzle, but I like it. The function is the one that creates groups randomly. So if right now the groups are created by the Zoom breakout room groups, then in the new iteration it will happen inside the contract. So it's not so easy to create it truly randomly. And here it has to be random, because if it is not, then it would be possible to attack the system, and somebody could elect their own delegates and take over the account, and we don't want that. So that's an important function. Besides that, I participated in the HIFA's workshop. They're doing that every week for different communities who are looking to start using HIFA. Quite insightful. There are a lot of people there who also, like us, are trying to figure out what's the best way to do decentralized governance. So it's interesting to hear what they are using. And I've heard from 2 people application called Nestor. Maybe you've heard of it as well. It seems something haven't looked into it deeply yet, but maybe something that we could use as well. And then besides that, yesterday was the brainstorming session. Quite good discussion. Yeah, the Eden Fractal brainstorming session. And I think that's about it. Yeah, mostly smart contracts. Rosemary, would you like to share your contributions?
This is my first meeting, so I don't have any contributions, I don't think.
But are you involved somehow in EOS?
No,
No,
not
okay.
really.
No, then your contribution is showing up, which is also very good.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. We want just be there.
When you say EOS, is this the, because I'm trying to understand what this is.
Uh-huh. Well, it depends how familiar are in general you with the blockchain space.
I've heard about it.
Okay, well, then look EOS just as a community that has its own like governance thing on currency. You can look at it as a digital nation. Yeah. And we are like part of that community, sub-community.
Okay, because when I Googled it, I found some construction company in Arizona.
Yeah,
That's
there's
not it,
one.
right?
No,
That's not it. Because I was getting confused a bit. I'm like, where is that? Yeah, I'll definitely research more about that. I am interested in blockchain, but haven't really been around it. Like I haven't really touched it in a way.
yeah, that's actually interesting entry point.
I mean, like I haven't touched it in the internet space. Like you cannot touch anything, but like I haven't really read more about it. Blockchain. It seems interesting. Sounds fascinating, you know, but definitely have to read more about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that often that we get new people here who not
No.
from the blockchain space. So
Yeah.
it's really cool.
How do you feel about that? Do you feel like I'm just like I just came out of like an alien ship? Like you don't know the world, like
It's a bit like that.
Those fall from the sky.
right? Just yeah, I need to familiarize myself with like how you think probably and what you do and your I don't know, like your concepts of blockchain and like trying to familiarize myself as if I just landed, so I literally don't know. I have heard about it and I mean it's growing and that means that it's so popular that people who are not even necessarily interested in tech. I am interested, but like so many people have heard about this. It's so big now that it's hard to meet people who have not heard about it, but not many have got that interest in searching more about it and how it could be useful. So definitely a new sphere to explore because that's the future kind of part of it. I mean, for sure.
Do you
Yeah.
know? Do you know how the Bitcoin community, they welcome new members? They just send sats to the new members. So,
That's
so yeah, our community doesn't have that traditions of just when we get a new member, just give them some EOS and then you will figure out how it works. So maybe
Well,
someday we'll have some.
we can vote for her as level 6, then it would be as an incentive to create an account.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you could argue it's the biggest relative contribution relative to past contribution. So
yeah, I'm gonna register. That's the first point. So I don't know what to say about the contribution part. It's been great listening to yours. Do I necessarily have to code?
No.
to be a
No.
participant? No. Okay, because I cannot. Oh,
A lot of people here don't code, I think.
all right. I guess that's like like another level, I guess. But if not coding, like how else would you, what would you do? Like, I guess what are most like the most people doing in here in terms of job, like tasks wise, or like what are the skills that are um in highest
Demand.
demand? Yeah, in highest demand. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's basically all kinds of skills. So a big part of it is community growth. I think you mentioned a company that you're working with does some marketing, and so just spreading the word and helping to explain these things. So Vlad and Tadas are building a lot of the tools and getting into the code. And I think Pascal's doing some of that too, although Pascal's also an entrepreneur who's building some new applications and social media platforms where you can use it. There's many people in the community like myself who are making videos and who are writing articles about what we're doing here. And you also talked with Eric before, who he's not a coder, but he started a art fractal where people are using this process for to collaborate on making art and helping their art organization. So basically any kind of skill can be really helpful and in demand in this field because it's growing very quickly and there's so many cool things that we're building that can be really helpful for so many people around the world, but we need to be able to both build the tools and then help people learn how to use the tools and play the games and so forth and convey it to help people understand it and use it. Yeah, that was a bit of a long description or a description that could have been put together better, but I hope that provides a helpful answer.
It's okay. It's all right. I like the playing games part. um, yeah, I mean, I'm doing at the moment like social media manager. So I'm a social media manager, and I'm really getting into the grasp of just making things look pretty for posting a content, you know, and I could supposedly help with that, helping with spreading out the message about these tools that people are building. And yeah, definitely have some skills to share, you know, and contribute because I'm working on Canva a lot, and I can make, and I'm really familiar with how sort of social media algorithms and what's trending, what's new. I've been on social media for more than 10 years. I don't know if I'm proud of that, but yeah, so I do have definitely some like experience and familiarity with this, with the social media platforms, and also how to present like nice infographics or like one pagers or guides into the usage of those tools and being presentable so people could understand them easier. And yeah, because that's really important. That basically I graduated with marketing, so I studied that for 3 years. I graduated in 2018 in Brighton, which is the UK, and then since then I've been in the marketing sphere. And having worked at that tech company, I was being account executive and then account manager. But being surrounded by tech heads, and that like our company really expanded. It merged into 3 companies. We acquired 3 companies, and within COVID times. So I've gone through as well like acquisitions and trying to pull out the best from all 3 companies, or 4 actually. And yeah, I've been around many like good heads basically, and developers as well. So I have a lot of, I mean, my brain is good. Let's say, yeah.
Well, sounds awesome. Thanks so much, Rosemary. I'd be very happy to collaborate with you, and I really appreciate you sharing all your all your experience. It sounds like you have awesome experience that can be super helpful. And so I hope that you'll be inspired to keep coming back to the community in future weeks and enjoy the process and help out. We do, like, the system itself incentivizes people to do whatever work they think is most helpful. And then if the community thinks it's helpful, then you get more EOS and the respect as well of the community. So that happens naturally. And then, yeah, we could perhaps talk in the future afterwards about how we could collaborate if you'd like. I've got some funding that I've raised as well from Eden that I could potentially use to help fund you to do some helpful work if you'd like, or if you just like how to do it however you want. But I'm looking forward to further exploring how we could work together and how Eden could help you. So thank you, Rosemary.
Amazing. Me too. And you speak so well, like you speak very profoundly.
Wait till he is.
Almost
Wait,
like a radio talk. Like a
wait,
radio.
wait till he starts talking about his contributions. You will hear speed like no.
Well, thank you very much, Rosemary. I try to speak well, although sometimes I could certainly speak better, but I'll try to speak as well as I can, and I appreciate the compliment. And to Das, yes, hopefully I won't speak too fast. I've gotten that feedback as well sometimes too. But yeah, is there anything else you wanted to add, Rosemary, to your introduction / contributions / just what you're aiming to do or aiming to get or anything like that?
I mean, just trying to understand, how do you communicate with each other? Is it in this in the website or LinkedIn, or do you have like a group where you still connect except for like apart from this meeting? Do you have like, some people use Slack, some people use like, what are the channels? Okay.
Mostly in Telegram lately. We also have a Discord too, but we have a Telegram where we've been doing most of the communication. There's also a larger Eden community that has another Telegram, so there's several different Telegram channels, but the specific Eden Fractal community has a Telegram channel that Vlad just shared the main Telegram for the first Eden group, and then he also shared the t.me/Eden Fractal, which is the one where we have been collaborating in mostly. Okay, you're just trying to switch.
Okay, sounds good. So we can connect from there and talk more if needed. Yeah.
Okay, sounds great. Looking forward to it. Sorry, I'm a bit distracted too. Jorge is in a different room and I'm trying to figure out which room he's in, but I don't know, so I just messaged him, but I guess I'll just wait for him to get back to me. Okay, cool. Does anybody have any other thoughts for Rosemary, or shall I share my contributions?
Where are you guys based?
On chain.
In Cyprus.
We are on chain.
EOS, our address is EOS. No, I'm from Lithuania. If you heard that.
Yes.
And I'm from the USA.
I'm from Canada.
Nice.
What about you?
And Vlad, where are you from?
Cyprus.
Ah, Cyprus. Nice. I'm based in Mexico at the moment. So US time zone. I usually live in London for the past 10 years. I've been there, sort of, and I'm originally from Bulgaria.
In
Yeah,
which part of Montreal on Mexico are you in?
Playa del Carmen.
Okay, good. Yeah, I was there in December. Very cool place.
Kazomba, yeah, there's many dance classes. This is near Cancun and Tulum, so it's kind of between. It's a good place, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I've done a lot of research into Mexico. And at some point, I'd love to visit. It seems like a really cool place, as well as England too. I think you mentioned before.
And yes, I lived in London too, and Brighton.
Cool. I used to live in London for a little while as well back in the day.
Really?
Yes, I studied there.
I'm kind of, I feel like done with it in a way. It's too big for me now. So I've actually probably been moving back to Bulgaria for a bit, but I don't know that. At some point I want to visit the US, but not at the moment because I'm not vaccinated. They don't allow me in there still. But yeah, one day.
Okay, cool. Well, sounds good. And maybe someday we'll meet up there, and also maybe at some point we'll have a big Eden meeting with everybody coming together in shared locations rather than just Zoom as well. That would be very cool and very exciting. I'm sure we will. But anyway, we have been going for kind of a while, and we have to reach consensus in the next 20 minutes or so. So unless somebody has any last comments you want to share, then I suppose I should share my contributions now, and then we could do consensus, and then we can get back into more open discussions afterwards when we have time.
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. I've also figured out the Jorge and JZA situation too, so you can fully attend to it now. So I'll bring up my little presentation that I have here, the things I've been doing. It was not super prepared, put this together pretty quickly, as has been happening fairly often lately, but in the past week, I published the meeting from the 34th meeting from last week, Eden Fractal 34, and I put this up at edenfractal.com/34. I didn't have a chance to, well, we got Space Wrangler Joe just entered the waiting room. I don't know who that is. So I'm just gonna, sorry, I have to just add them to room 2. And go figure out who Space Wrangler Joe is. He's got an interesting name. Okay, so yeah, I published this and just wrote a quick little summary thing there. And then there's some really basic timestamps, but they really have to be organized much better. In previous weeks, I'd organized them much better, but didn't get the chance this week. So I'll do that in the future, but people can check it out there. We talk about the MSIG for most of the discussion afterwards. I'll create an MSIG, and you can see the video also published on the Eden Creators YouTube channel as well. One of my main contributions this week was creating an article about the MSIG. If you're not familiar with MSIG, or if anyone's not familiar with MSIG, basically it stands for multi-signatory arrangement. It's basically a tool that people can use to share permissions. So not just one person has control over an account or something, but other people can share permissions. So you have to have 3 out of 4 people sign something to approve something. So we worked on this for quite a while over the past several weeks for the eden.fractal MSIG, which distributes the EOS and respect and does some other functionality. So I put together this article, wrote some things, and put together a table of contents explaining what is an MSIG and what is the Eden Fractal MSIG, trying to make it both helpful for current members and then also for people in the future who are going to be learning about MSIGs and EOS and blockchains and community computers and so forth. By the way, I'll also share a link in the chat too. I had it there before, but eosnetwork.com, Rosemary, is a site where you can learn a bit more about EOS. And the way I think about it is a community computer, a computer that communities can collaborate on. So MSIGs allow people to share permissions on that, but a bit of a digression. So I put together table of contents where you can click on each section with a bit of a summary to MSIGs and Eden Fractal MSIG, and then proposals that people made. So far, the community has made 10 different proposals over the past 8 weeks for how to make this MSIG. And I also put together recommendations with some summaries and next steps and so forth. I presented this at the brainstorming session yesterday to help guide facilitate the discussion. There's also some design considerations for how to design it well, and I put together some frequently asked questions and feedback from the community. It's quite a long article. There's a lot here. I tried to put some art in between too to mix it up and make it look nice. You can see basic videos of what is an MSIG and about what is the Eden Fractal MSIG when you scroll down and so forth. This at edencreators.com/MSIG, kind of technical stuff, but also helpful for us to learn. I also curated the proposals that we made, and I think it helped Tadas make that proposal. I'm very excited about that proposal that Tadas made, and curated the previous proposal that Tadas and Patrick and myself and other people made in the community. I won't show you too much more of this, but I'll just show you one more thing, I guess. I could scroll through it for a while, but it's so long that it would take some time to do, but I messed up when I was showing yet. There's recommendations where I provided a summary of what we've done so far, which I probably moved to the top and organized this a bit better, but I summarized everything that happened in the community with the MSIG so far. And yeah, there's so much more here, but I'll just leave it at that for now. Just lots of ideas about how to make the MSIG as best as possible for both Eden community and other communities in the future, because it's pretty helpful. tool. I also participated in the brainstorming session that Patrick will be releasing on the Nova Crypto channel, and Patrick hosted, where we discussed this in more detail. So that was all for the MSIG. I published the 34th town hall this week. We had a conversation with Gabriel and Patrick and CAC. One of the topics we discussed is Camisotzinca, which is in Mexico, by the way, in the Yucatan, Mexico. He's building a 45-acre nature regen haven and collective, which is really cool. Actually, Douglas has been there too. Douglas has spent some time. They did a podcast together about it, and they have lots of interesting things. So we spoke about this, and we also spoke about Antelope workshops that Patrick hosted, and chief delegate meetings, and Eden Fractal, and recent town hall updates and so forth. There's timestamps and so forth that you can see here, and that's on the Eden Creators YouTube channel. And then I also hosted the 35th Eden Town Hall, where we talked about Eric's work with the Art Fractal and Center for Governance, and his academic dissertations and several other things. And we also talked about Chris's projects with DGov organization, which we use the Fractal process and can have a lot of great collaborations and synergies with Eden Fractal, and Lenny and CAC. Overall, it's a great discussion. I'm still working on timestamps, and we'll release that in the coming days when it's more available and more ready. And then lastly, I also provided feedback. I meant to create this site at edencreators.com/fractalgram, but it didn't really load. But basically, I followed and tested out all the tools that Tadas was building with Fractalgram, and I think it's an amazing tool. So thank you so much. And I just started to, well, a few days ago, I shared a lot of feedback with Tadas about potential ways that the app could be improved or how it could work and so forth, and just clarifying it. So I'm starting to curate an article where I'll kind of just curate some resources about Fractalgram as well as some feedback about it and so forth. So I suppose that's it. Oh, in addition to that too, I also, there's a bunch of other stuff I've been doing in the background too that I can't really show much about right now, but I've been working on a lot of exciting studio improvements with my whole green screen setup and musical instruments and stuff like that to add to it. And I've also been listening to podcasts and making plans to reach out to some big influencers. Like I've been listening to podcast with Mr. Beast to learn about how to improve the videos that we're doing here, and also listening to podcasts with Jordan Peterson, who's doing something pretty similar to what we're doing with Eden, and the founder of Gitcoin, Kevin Owocki. There's a lot of synergies to reach out to, so kind of starting to sow some seeds there. But that's that for now, and I'm happy to answer any questions or hear any comments about it.
What did you say you're doing with Jordan Peterson?
Yeah, well, so far I've just been listening. I haven't actually spoken with him or anything like that. But there is some contact with the Eden community with Jordan Peterson. So for one thing, he just had a new podcast with Joe Rogan, and I listened to that a couple of days ago. And during that podcast, he introduced that he's working on a project. He's going to be hosting some conferences in London and a couple other places in October, November, and December of this year, I think, where he wants to do something very similar to what we're doing in Eden. He described it actually from like how a good governance structure needs to be fractal, basically, how you need to have groups of 10 that elect an elder, and then those elders make decisions together and so forth. So I saved the timestamp of where he talked about this and wrote about it a bit. I can share it in the chat if you'd like. He talked about it in like 2 hours in the conversation, and he's organizing this with a bunch of people. So, and then previously Chuck McDonald had reached out to him, and he responded about Eden last year too. So I think he might know a little bit about it, and I think it's definitely good to reach out to him at some point after we prepare it a little bit better.
Cool. It's amazing. If he would mention somewhere Eden or Eden Fractal, it would be crazy.
Imagine if he would join, Eden would explode.
Yeah, I think it would grow quite a lot. He's got a large audience, and he's a great speaker. I've been learning a lot from him lately, and I'm very happy to see that he's thinking along the same lines. And I think that what we're doing with Eden, I mean, he apparently speaking with people who have some interesting ideas in a similar way, but I think that he would probably really appreciate all the work that we've done in this community so far to, prepare these fractal cooperation systems and so forth. So. And then Kevin Owocki from Gitcoin too is also a great thinker and builder who's been basically asking, like, is there any way that we can come to consensus as a subjective group? And I'm like, I want to share him the links, but they're just not ready. But I'm planning to reach out to him at some point soon too. He's amazing as well. Okay, cool. First off, does anybody have any questions or comments for anybody in the group before we go into reaching consensus? And then second off, should we start reaching consensus. I also see that Vlad created an account for Rosemary. So thank you very much, Vlad. That makes it much more helpful. And I suppose that you can just transfer the keys or permissions to Rosemary for that after we meet, and we can use that in the submission. So that makes it much easier. And that means Rosemary, I don't know if you looked into making the EOS account. You can still do that if you want, but this EOS account can be yours, and it can work just as well as any other account that you could create. So you don't need to worry about making a new account because I can just give you that one.
Amazing, thank you.
Cool. Is everybody ready for consensus or any question or comments? Should we use the app that Tadas, the Fractalgram? I love the name of the app, by the way. That was a nice delight this morning when I saw it.
Yeah, so it would be, right now I created a group. We have 4 members. I think only Rosemary hasn't joined yet. So Rosemary, I shared the link in the chat. I will share it again. It would be good if you would join this Telegram group. It should help reaching consensus easier.
Okay, so then just use it also.
Yeah, I see Rosemary has joined. Okay, so we have everyone now. Everyone needs, do all of you see the first message in the chat? Please enter your EOS account as a reply to this message.
I don't see any chats, any messages.
Okay, so I will create, for some reason I made it so that history would be shown to new members, but it doesn't show still. But I created a new message, and so basically you need to reply to this message with your EOS account name.
Okay, like right now.
Yeah, it would be good.
5 ones. Yes.
Okay.
Like that. I think I messaged the group. I think
Yeah.
I messaged the whole group.
What's that?
I think I messaged the whole group instead of clicking reply, right?
Yeah, you need to right click it and then it replies to make it work.
I think I did it. No?
I think you replied to the pinned message. You have to reply to the actual message itself, not the pinned part.
Okay, okay.
And same for you, Pascal, too. So I'll do it again. If you right click on where Tadas wrote, please enter your EOS account and reply to this message, then you put your EOS account name there. As far as I understand, it doesn't work unless you reply to that message specifically.
Yeah.
Okay. The Tadas message, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Reply.
It doesn't really, I think it's like, it's selecting the whole message. It's basically when I click reply, it replies to the whole message, not just to that part where it says pin.
No, I think you.
How do I do it?
For some reason my message is lagged, but now I see. I think Rosemary, you replied correctly now.
I think I did it now. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right now, that's correct to me. Previously, it's going to the pinned message, but now it goes to the correct message. So I think we're over now, right, Tadas?
Yeah, it's good now.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't select as I should.
Okay, cool. So I don't know, Tadas, you want to guide us through this? Then feel free to do so. And I'm wondering, do you think we should still do a 3, 2, 1 countdown, like we normally do?
I don't think we need to, because as far as I know, Telegram usually doesn't show votes until you yourself vote. So I think that achieves the same effect as voting at the same time. Yeah, so right now I posted a poll for level 6, and right, it would be good if everyone would vote in it. Who do you think should be ranked as the highest level? So Rosemary, we are currently ranking a person who, in our opinion, contributed the most. You should vote for that person in the chat, in the poll.
Hmm.
Okay, so there have been 4 votes so far. I think one person hasn't voted. Yeah, so far it is Rosemary as
It
she's thinking
shows
deeply, I think.
it shows me that all 5 has voted right
Okay.
now.
Okay, that's correct. So there are 2 votes for Rosemary from Tadas and Vlad. Rosemary voted for me, and me and Pascal voted for Tadas.
Hmm.
So the way this works, by the way, Rosemary, is we need to reach consensus in order for people to receive the respect and to move on. So right now we don't have consensus. The consensus needs to be at least 67%, basically, 2/3 plus 1. So we would need 4 to 5 people to agree on who is level 6 before we go on to level 5. So currently there's 2 people with 2 votes. I'm happy to vote for Rosemary as well too, as level 6. I think that she's super talented, super experienced, and bringing a great mindset and enthusiasm to the community. So I really appreciate that. And in general, we do try to respect people who join for the first time, both as a way of appreciating that you're joining, and especially you brought so much great energy today. So I think it'd be great to vote for you level 6. I also voted for Tadas because I just think that this tool that Tadas built is incredibly helpful. I'm super stoked about this tool. And also Tadas putting together the proposal for the MSIG. We've been working on that for a while as well. So that's also super valuable. So that's why my original vote was for Tadas, but I see Tadas voted for Rosemary, and that's very compelling as well. So I'm happy to go either way. And I'm curious to hear what everybody else thinks.
Yeah, I urge to vote for Rosemary because I think we need to incentivize people who join for the first time. And yeah.
Okay. In that case, I will change my vote to Rosemary. So for the incentivization, that's why she's here for the first time. So can I change my vote, Tadas?
Yeah, if you right click on the poll, you will see retract vote, and then you will be able to vote again.
Okay, good, thanks. So done. So I think we got some consensus. We have consensus.
Okay, sounds good. Congratulations, Rosemary. You got level 6.
Yay.
And thank you. You're welcome, and thank you. All right, is everybody ready for level 5?
Yes, I created a poll.
Okay. So far, there's been 3 people who have voted and 2 people who have not. Yep.
Now, I think everyone has voted.
Yep, everyone voted, and we have, I think, full support for Tadas being level 5. Cool.
Thanks, everyone. Now, level 4.
So far, there's 4 people who voted. I don't think Rosemary has voted yet. And by the way, you're welcome to ask questions or anything like that at any point too. We have 10 minutes left, so if anybody has questions or clarifications or anything about what people did, then you can feel free to do so. So we have 5 votes in. I have 2 votes from Vlad and Pascal. Vlad has 1 vote from Tadas, and Pascal has 2 votes from me and Rosemary. So I'll say first, I suppose, why I voted for Pascal. I think what Pascal's doing with the algorithm is really exciting. And I also really love how he's aligning the interests between Eden and EOS and Hive and BitShare. A lot of stuff that you're doing is really cool. And in past weeks, I felt like I would have liked. I think there was one week that you were level 1 or 2, even though you did amazing work, and I felt like that wasn't quite fair. So I felt like in general you do amazing work. So I wanted to show a bit more respect here as well. I also appreciate people voting for me too, and I also think Vlad's doing incredible work too. Obviously, Vlad is doing amazing work with tools too. So it was tough decision, but that's what I choose, and I'm excited to hear what everybody else thinks.
We had consensus, but then somebody switched to Ben.
For some reason it. Who did we have consensus on?
I think
Right.
Pascal.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, so I switched to Pascal.
Okay, cool. So it looks like I mean the app looks strange to me right now. It's bugging out a little bit. Now it works well when I refresh it. So we have consensus on Pascal.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
And
Okay.
now the level 3.
Level 5 was.
Not often we are at the lowest level.
That's true. But it's good to see, though, a lot of great contributions in the community.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a very.
It's
It's a
weird
very
that
product. Yeah,
Vlad and Dan is competing for the lowest.
it's a very productive group also. So
Yes, for sure.
yeah.
The app sometimes bugs out, by the way, for me. Sometimes it says like right now it says who should be level 3, and I guess there's only 3 people voted. Maybe I'll just look at it and see if I'm making a mistake.
Are you using the Fractalgram app or some other client to look at that?
Oh, well, I just loaded in my regular Telegram. I tried using the Fractalgram on different computer when I just loaded it up. I also couldn't get it to work then too, so maybe I'll reach out to you afterwards to figure out some more of the minor details. But it's working in general. Just sometimes I click view results and it shows like slightly differently and I just have to refresh it. I don't think it's a big deal though, and I think I could probably just figure out how to make it work better.
Yeah, I see some of it too. I think, I don't know, we'll need to investigate. Okay, but I think we have consensus for level 3, right?
Yes,
I
we
see
have consensus on Vlad, and so Vlad has 4 out of 5. Rosemary voted for me. By the way, Rosemary, I appreciate you voting for me, both in this one and earlier too. And I appreciate the kind words you said before too. So thank you for that. But yeah, Vlad's doing amazing work as well too. So works out well. And if anybody has no further questions or comments, I think I'm automatically level 2 then. And then who should be the delegate of this group? So the way this works, Rosemary, I mentioned it very briefly before, but after we do the consensus game where we rank contributions, part of the same game is that we also elect a delegate. So the delegate serves on a council for the next 4 weeks and they make community decisions. So as I was saying, we have this first hour where we do this game, and then the second hour we have proposals and topics that we discuss, and delegates can vote on proposals. So for example, we previously passed a proposal to change the time of the meeting. We've also passed proposals to change how we organize the breakout rooms, or how we organize and discuss topics and so forth. That we passed one to use something called the sociocratic method, where we first ask for clarification. We passed several proposals, and one of the proposals that we have now is changing the MSIG, which we talked about before. But basically, just to provide a high-level overview of, we elect a delegate to help make community decisions for the next 4 weeks. So, and we pick one delegate to do so. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Vlad asked in the chat, should we still vote for level 2 to generate the result? I think that I saw in Tadas's article that it automatically generates the result.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
If you're at level 2 or 1 and everybody else is selected, then that level is automatically selected.
So
Programming.
What's that, Tadas?
I was
Vlad, I'm sorry. I got confused.
yeah.
It's good programming.
Okay.
Very good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yes. As far as who is a delegate, I'd be curious who is a delegate right now. I'll open up that spreadsheet.
Yeah, so
Already, so
I think I was elected last week.
yeah,
it's
I think Vlad is not a delegate currently, and it's last week for me. I vote for Vlad being a delegate because, well, simply because we are currently passing a quite technical proposal, and Vlad has some technical knowledge about it. So, and I'm the one who's proposing it. So I think it would be more right if Vlad was the one who votes.
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. I'm also happy to vote for Vlad too. In addition to that, Vlad is just very knowledgeable about the community as a whole and in every meeting, and all sorts of good stuff. So I'm happy to vote for Vlad as delegate. I also, by the way, shared the Google Doc where you can see the delegates in case anyone wants to see that as well.
same for me.
Okay, Tadas, you haven't submitted on the app yet, I don't think.
I did submit it.
Oh,
For some reason, it doesn't show. It doesn't show all the results for me as well.
it shows Pascal hasn't voted actually.
Frederick?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't get it wrong. So we got Vlad. Okay, yeah.
Okay,
It's
cool.
down in my
So, yep. So Rosemary voted for me, and everybody else voted for Vlad. So Vlad has consensus there. So we have consensus, and I just realized we're at 2 minutes to top the hour. So we should probably wrap it up in the next minute or two.
Are we in group 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So how does this goes on chain? Tadas?
1 minute, you will see.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Tadas is about to show you some of the programming magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now you can see a message I generated with this tool, and you see the ranks. Check if they are correct, and if you think they are correct, then you see at the end results can be submitted here, and a link on
Okay.
here. And so if you click that, it will take you to Vlad's app, and there you press continue and then submit.
Oh.
Yeah, really cool how it's possible to build on top of each other.
Yeah, building on top of
Yeah.
another. That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Good job. Good job.
Yeah.
Did you notice
Amazing.
the hash? I see E8CC4FB8. Well, it's probably right, but anyway, we'll post.
Okay, cool. And yeah, I'll hit the close breakout rooms now. So, and then 60 seconds.
You would just need to send me one key, public key, and I will switch. Then the account will be yours. Anyway, I will explain in Telegram.
Okay. Send one key. Okay.
So I'd be curious, everybody else should come back soon, but I'd be curious, Rosemary, if you have any thoughts after playing the first consensus game. How do you think it went?
It was very sweet, I think. And everyone was very welcoming to other people's opinions. And it was very interesting to find out what your guys are working on, as well as some of the people that you look up to, or follow, like those podcasts that you mentioned, and what's coming up as well. And the voting was really nice.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it and had a welcoming experience and found it interesting. That's really cool. And yeah, once again, really appreciate you joining. Thanks so much.
Did you feel like you were heard?
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, that goes back to something we were talking before we started recording, I think, about how this way of going into breakout rooms like we do with Eden allows people to be heard much more than, I suppose, legacy corporations and stuff where there's thousands of people and only a couple people making decisions. Here, everybody gets to speak to each other and hear each other and so forth. So that's really cool.
I was going to say something on that. A lot of times being heard and aligning with the truth organizational goals. A lot of times the organizational goals are not what most people even within the organization understand them to be. And that's kind of part of the reason why some people aren't heard. And that comes back to a lot of the stuff that's going on with tech in Congress and things like that. The organizational goals are publicized to be something, but clearly at Facebook, Google, and all that, it's not what it's publicized to be.
Yep, good points. Thank you, Marco. So a couple different things here. One, Evgeny said he has to go, but he'll be back soon. So thanks, Evgeny, for joining, and looking forward to seeing you again soon. Really appreciate everything you're doing. Jorge's running without electricity too, with battery too. So if you got to go as well, then that works. Thanks so much, Jorge, for joining. Hope you're doing well. Great seeing you as always. And then we'll go into the more structured discussion about the MSIG proposal. I'll double check to make sure that's still the top of the proposals with the most votes. But as far as I checked last before, the proposal with the most votes was from Tadas. Patrick also made a proposal too. I'm trying to load the screen so I can share it to show everybody, but for some reason the consortium has been having a couple of issues where it takes a while to load. So once it loads, then I can share my screen to show everybody. I'll also share the link as well. I'll also remind everybody to, if you haven't already, please submit your results in the eden.fractal app. I'll share that in the chat here. If I know Rosemary, she just got the account, so she doesn't have to do that now, but if anybody else has an account and can do that, that'd be appreciated to make sure that we have consensus. I'll also share the delegate spreadsheet again to show who is a delegate for this week and who can vote on proposals for this week for the MSIG. I think, I'm still not sure, I'm assuming that Tadas is going first. Tadas or Patrick, when you guys share your proposals, please feel free to either share your screen or let me know if you'd like me to help share a screen or show anything. Also, when the people who are sharing their topics and proposals are going, they'll each have about 5 minutes to present their proposal. And during that time, I'll ask that everybody please just patiently listen and save any questions or comments for after they speak. I'll call on people after as the moderator to make sure that everybody gets a fair amount of time and we have an orderly conversation and discuss the MSIG and do it in the best way possible. And then also after we have the discussion, we'll also go with the sociocratic method that Gabriel proposed a few weeks ago, where first we'll start with questions about clarification. If there's anything you don't understand, then we'll get into the reactions and any potential objections and how to integrate and so forth. And as always, if any delegates would like to move on to the next topic or proposal, then feel free to let me know or write in the chat or put up like a soccer ball emoji, something like that. I think that we'll probably have a lot of interesting discussions here. We'll go into the topic presentation in just a couple minutes. First, I see that Patrick has their hands up too. So if anybody has any quick thoughts before we get into the proposals from the MSIG, then feel free to share here. But let's try to keep it pretty quick so that we can get to Tadas's presentation and save any questions for after that. Patrick, you have some thoughts you'd like to share?
Nothing. I have just raised my hand to present my proposal. That's all. When you are ready to share the screen.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Is anybody able to load the consortium app right now? Because right now it's not loading for me, so I'm not actually able to tell which proposal has the most votes. We'll start out with whatever proposal has the most votes. And as far as I saw, Tadas' proposal had more votes, so he would go first in that situation. Unless you want to do differently, because I know that Patrick also made a proposal that basically just to give a high-level overview. So we had a brainstorming session yesterday where we discussed, it was Patrick, myself, CAC, Lenny and Marco were there. Sorry if I'm forgetting anybody. But we had discussions for about an hour or a bit longer about MSIG discussion. We also discussed this in last week's meeting for a majority of time, and we discussed it in Fractal 32. And we came to consensus about a couple of different proposals. So Patrick made a proposal to focus, I think, specifically more on the people who are being added to the MSIG before dealing with the thresholds and so forth. And then Tadas made a proposal for a basically a full configuration of a MSIG configuration with both the people on there as well as the weights, also with a new idea for some smart time delays too. I won't explain it too much because that'll explain obviously, but just to give a high level overview of the differences between the proposals. And so I'll ask once again, Vlad or anybody else able to load the consortium page, because right now I can't see it.
Yep, it's not loading for me as well. It's something with the, we're using gray mass endpoint, so
that's not tragic.
Something's wrong with it.
That's not tragic.
Yeah.
To explain what we have made as proposal.
Yeah,
you
from
agree,
Block
Vlad?
Explorer.
Yeah, totally. We don't have to share.
Yeah.
We don't have to share the screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
From the
Let's
Block
be
Explorer,
brief.
I can
So if we
see
accept that, I
Tadas's
explain my proposal.
So let's try to just not speak over each other because it's difficult to hear. First, Vlad can finish his thoughts, and then Patrick, you go after Vlad.
Yeah. So from the Block Explorer, I can see that Tadas is on top.
Okay. Thank you, Vlad. So in that case, then Tadas will present it first, and then Patrick will present his proposal afterwards. Patrick, do you want to add anything onto there? And does that sound good?
No, before that I present. No, that was not the goal.
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit there. Could you please repeat that?
I said I have raised my hand to speak about my proposal. So if Tadas want to go first, he go first. That's okay.
Yeah, what's up to Tadas, because Tadas has the most votes.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's
okay.
move on. Let's move on. So
Okay.
Tadas, yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Well,
Thanks,
I think Patrick can present first. His proposal is simpler, and I think if we don't pass my proposal, we can get back to Patrick. So, although we don't have a concrete proposal
As you want,
Patrick, I mean, it's a proposal to propose members of the MSIG.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think it might make the most sense if you're up with it, Tadas, to start with Patrick's first, even though Tadas has more votes, because Patrick's kind of breaks it down to it's a simpler thing to discuss first, and then we can discuss Tadas' proposal after that. And so perhaps we can go over Patrick's proposal, and I think we'll maybe reach consensus quickly, but I don't want to sway it too much. But Patrick, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I go first. Okay. So we made the episode 34 on last Wednesday, and we stated at the end of the episode, and that's recorded, that we have to be focused on the people first and then on the how. I stated on the last episode that we will go to the brainstorming session that was yesterday, that I have moderated and recorded and doing with Vlad, Tadas, you, Dan Sinjoy as a co-host there. And we have Marco for the first time, and we have also Lenny joining. And the goal yesterday was to go into the how of this proposal. And I made a stance, and I totally agree with that. I am in alignment with what we stated on the last time. We have to decide who to add to the MSIG and who to remove. And the name of my proposal is very simple. We have to make again a proposal because that was deleted and we have to redo. So I was stating in my proposal, basically, TP35, that's the episode today, TP topic 35. And I was stating, we should decide who we add and who we remove in accordance with the last meeting 34, just to be always, when we say something, in alignment with what we have stated, and I was committed to do so. I am a delegate level 1 for 4 weeks, and I was just doing what I have to do to be committed. And about the how, the threshold and all, there is the proposal of Tadas just after the brainstorming session of yesterday. And I have read the talk and all. I agree with the threshold and all. I am just waiting to see also about the time delay. We were discussing yesterday during the brainstorming session about the time delay, if we have to make with time delay or without into the proposal of Tadas. But mine is very easy. Basically, you think about who to add, who to remove, and then we do the how. And we go faster and we iterate at least what we stated on the last week. And that's all for me, very easy. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Patrick. And I'll also add to that too. I don't think you mentioned it, but specifically the who that are included in the proposal.
Very easy. The same people that we have decided already on last episode. There is CIC, there is Marco, there is, you remember Dan, all the people that we have already decided to add, and to remove, we have to remove Chuck, because Chuck is no more participating, and James Smart, we have to keep him into the MSIG because he's so core level. And Felix, by the way, is no more joining, so I don't know, but at least we are doing what we have already stated on last week. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you very much, Patrick. I see Marco has hands up, so I'll pass on to Marco in just a moment. But first I'll just add a bit more context just so everybody's completely clear here. So people who are being added to the MSIG with the current proposals are Andrew Ware, CAC, Gabriel, Marco, Perry, and Sebastian. And the people or accounts that are being removed according to the current proposals are Chuck and Eden MSIG 111. The Eden MSIG 111 is kind of just an artifact. It's not a useful thing. It was just something that we tried technically that didn't really prove to be helpful. Another thing I'll share too, that I don't know if I shared previously, but hopefully it can be a helpful resource. And I think it will be a very helpful resource rather. I put together an article at edencreators.com/msig. I just shared that in the Zoom chat as well. So this is curating basically all the discussions that we've had about the MSIG over the past 8 weeks, and also since we started Eden Fractal. It also has some more introductory information about MSIGs as well. But you can scroll down a bit there. I'll have to organize it, and it's a work in progress. I'll have to organize a bit better. But if you scroll down a bit, then you can see the configuration that it's currently at, as well as previous episodes where we've discussed this. And you can also see the configurations that are proposed. After this, I'll also add this meeting and what Tadas proposed and so forth too. So it'll be updated. But if anybody has any questions or comments about the MSIG in general, then here's a place where you can find a lot of answers. And with that, I see Patrick raise his hand too. So Patrick, I'll pass it to you before we go to Marco.
Just to remind, the brainstorming session was yesterday at 16 UTC. Then I have made the editing, and that will be published today. Still today, you will be able to see the brainstorming session of yesterday. There is the mind map with the notes in, all what we have stated, all is written like this. People can take the text and do some resume with that. There is all the talks that we have made yesterday into the brainstorming session. So not only the video and the time stamping of the video, but also the mind map updated. Since that we do the brainstorming session, we are at our 5th time. So go there and you will see how we were arriving to the conclusion that we have to do some thresholds, some security for this MSIG, and but we are human after all. So first, good people into the MSIG, and the other people that not participating and contributing, they are not in the MSIG. Simple as that. And if later on they want to be again into the MSIG, it's because they are attending and contributing. That's so easy. Okay, so we were discussing at that, nothing complicated. So Marco, yeah, I'll let you go.
Marco? Yes,
I just wanted to say the last list of deletions and additions I agree with, but I would like a restatement of that before we vote.
Sounds good. Thank you, Marco. So I think that Vlad and Tadas answered your desire basically to have a relist. Feel free to let us know if there's anything else you'd like, but Tadas and Vlad, they posted in the chat. Tadas asked, are there new participants? And then Vlad said, yes, same as yours. So there's links both to the IPFS link that Tadas put together with his proposal, and then the previous Google spreadsheet as well. So you can see the arrangement and configuration in Tadas's proposal, and the people included in Patrick's proposal that he just mentioned are the same people in Tadas's proposal, although actually one difference, there's a couple different things that we learned in the brainstorming session yesterday. For one thing, Tadas volunteered to be on the owner permission of it as well, so Tadas's account would be added. We also in Tadas's proposal, well, he can share more, but there's a couple more things that we can add there as well, but with time delays and so forth. And then I also want to just thank Patrick for hosting the brainstorming session too. That was a great meeting, and the next one is coming up on Tuesday, February 14th, I believe, at 16 UTC. Those are bi-weekly, so I encourage everybody to join those as well as all the other events. But anyway, does anybody have any questions asking for clarification for Patrick's proposal? First, we'll start with questions for clarification, and then if not, we can go on to reactions and so forth. So is anybody confused or have any questions for Patrick or Patrick's proposal in general? Okay. And if anybody does, then feel free to jump in at any point. And if anybody doesn't have any questions for clarification, does anybody have any reactions you'd like to share? I know Marcus said that he generally liked it. This has also been kind of discussed last week too. So for anybody who wasn't here at the end of last week, we thought about passing this at the end of last week, but then we decided we were already at the hour and we want to be respectful of time. So we didn't vote on a proposal after the time limit. But we did go through kind of an objection round afterwards, just an informal objection round to see if anybody had any objections with who was being added to MSIG, and nobody voiced any objections. So just to provide a bit of context, this has already been discussed to some extent, and we discussed it previously too. But if anybody has any reactions like to share to the current people or the people who are currently being proposed to being added to the MSIG, then please feel free to share. I see Perry has his hands up too. So Perry, what do you think?
I just want to ask if this is completely separate discussion from thresholds.
So the threshold discussion will probably mostly be with Vlad's proposal, because Patrick's proposal is mostly just focus on the people who are involved, I believe. Patrick, you can clarify if you want, but Tadas's proposal has thresholds involved. Does that answer your question, Perry?
I think so. So I'm looking at the spreadsheet and I see one column. I see the let's see, where'd it go? There it is. Do you agree with the following set of people? And so these are the new set. These two columns represent the new set of MSIGs for the group. Nothing to do with thresholds, just is this good or bad? And then my second question is, are all of us voting or just the delegates, or how does that work?
The people who will have a vote will be the delegates. I mean, anybody can share their opinion and share their thoughts, and that can help the committee make a decision as a whole. But according to the Eden plus Fractal process that we've been doing for a while, the delegates who have been elected will be the ones who are making the decision. That will, it's all a signal of consensus. So one thing to just clarify that we talked about before is that technically the people who are currently on the MSIG are the ones who can change it. So we have to get at least 4 of the people to change it. Currently, that's myself, Lad, Patrick, James, Felix, and Chuck. So those are the people who can technically change it on the EOS blockchain. But I think it's best that the Eden plus Fractal Council makes a decision. So then that's what I'll be using to decide to make that change. So I'll be taking into account the delegate votes, and I'll encourage everybody else to as well who's on the MSIG. But if anybody else has any thoughts and isn't a delegate, then please feel free to share as well.
And are delegates being counted one at a time? Or let's say you were voted 1 week and then also another week, do you as a delegate now have 2 votes? How is that working?
Yes. If a delegate is elected into 2 different councils, then the delegate would have a vote in both councils.
Okay. And I've lost track of where that spreadsheet is that's keeping track of all of that. Is there?
Yes. So I'm actually pulling up some links. So I'll share my screen in a moment to just show everybody this. Thanks for asking all these questions. I realize that it's helpful to show a little bit about what we're doing here. If you wouldn't mind, Tadas, could you share the link to your proposal as well, just so I can show that at some point too. But yeah, I'll show the screen right now to show who is currently a delegate to answer Perry's question. You should be able to see it now. So this is the spreadsheet of delegates so this week there was Vlad, CSC, and Marco were elected. In the past week, 16 or Council 16, it's me, Sebastian, and Gabriel. From 15, it's Pascal, Sebastian again, he's in 2, and Marco again. So Marco is also a delegate in 2. And then in Council 14, there is you, Perry, and Sebastian's in 3. Sebastian is being a super delegate right now, and then Patrick also as well. So anybody who's a delegate twice or 3 times will be able to vote in all councils. And the way it works is that we can pass a proposal if 3 out of 4 councils agree. That's also detailed in the, if anybody's not familiar with it, edencreators.com/eden+fractal, where I curated a lot of resources about how this works, where you can see an interview and several interviews with Tadas, who created this process. It was a collaborative endeavor, but you can see the original proposal and how it works and stuff at edencreators.com/plus. And then, yeah, you can see also the people who are in the MSIG. I don't know who put this together, but I saw in the chat, these are the people who we mentioned before, and actually the account names that we mentioned before, who are in the proposal that Patrick shared and that we're discussing. And then after that, we can also share the proposal that Tadas shared as well. And then this is also the article, edencreators.com/MSIG, where you can see a lot of the backstory behind it and so forth as well. Does that answer your questions, Barry?
I think that's the best that we're going to do at this moment. But I guess my feedback is that's a lot to comprehend for a new person, or even myself, keeping track of all that. So I think we've got work to do in terms of somehow summarizing and really just making that whole process entirely clear. So I guess the one thing I'm empty about, that I missed, was that the way the delegates votes work, even though it is a signal, and I realize the MSIG, the current signers of the MSIG will be making the final decision. What I'm unclear about exactly is how the delegates work. So I think you mentioned that the councils have to agree, and then if enough councils agree, which are made up of delegates, looks like 3 apiece for each council, 3 delegates per council per week. If those councils agree, if there's, I guess, a
Yes.
consensus among the councils, not the delegates, but the councils, then the signal is positive. Is that true?
Yep, that's essentially correct. So the way that the eden+fractal process works right now is that if 3 out of 4 councils agree, then that will be considered a signal from the community of expressing the opinion from the community. And of course, it's up to interpretation because it's all signals. There's nothing formal here, but that's the way we've been doing, where if 3 or 4 councils agree, then that's the way we can pass a proposal or approve or express an opinion. And each council is decided dynamically each week. So there could be more than 3 people on the council if there's more breakout rooms. It's just that for the past 3 weeks, we've had 3 breakout rooms. So there's been 3 delegates in each council.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Dan.
You're welcome, Perry, and thanks for all the great feedback and questions too. I also agree we need to make this simpler for everybody. We're building these things as we go, and we just started using this process a few months ago. I think the tools that Vlad is building will be really helpful for this, because I think he's trying to put it all in kind of one interface. At some point, Vlad can speak to that, but he's shown some Figma designs where it's all like kind of in one app. So when we have it all in one app, that'll make it much easier to see. And in the meantime, we're just trying to do the best we can. But I think it'll work much more better in the future. If anybody has any questions about how it works, then feel free to ask. I'll also share those links that I showed in the chat too. And now I see Marco has his hands up. So Marco, what do you think?
I thought my delegation was expiring. So I want to give one of my votes to Eric.
Okay. Sounds good. I think, and we haven't really formally established a process. Patrick at some point has, or a few points has brought up how a delegate could kind of elect a proxy, but I suppose there's nothing that we really need to approve, and it's up to you, Marco. So you can basically give that vote to Eric. And I think Eric is a great delegate and great thinker who will make great decisions. So I think that sounds good.
If we're against delegation, then whatever Eric says, I'll just repeat for this week.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Although one thing I just noticed is I don't know if Sebastian's here. Oh no, Sebastian is just an S. Never mind. I would also just encourage everybody when you're selecting a delegate to look at the spreadsheet. That's another thing that we should include in the app too, to look in the spreadsheet to be elected at the first time. To see, I mean, one thing to make sure that the person will be there. We've had a couple of times in the past when a delegate can't make it. So just ask delegates if they'll be there, and then also look to see how many times they've been elected, if you've been elected yourself or other people too. I think it's great. You know, Sebastian's a really great thinker and can provide a lot of helpful guidance for the community. Although we might also want to consider about electing a person to 3 different councils. It might be best to spread it out to more people as well in the future. But just to, it's just a thought to consider. And thanks, Sebastian. Great seeing you.
Hi.
Well, based on that same thinking, that's what I did today. I bowed out of being a candidate for a delegate because I noticed that Chris had not been one, and so I and Patrick did the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Perry, to remind. Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good. So I think we can keep it moving then. So first off, we went through clarification, and I suppose if anybody has any reactions to Patrick's proposal, and we shared the spreadsheet of who will be included, but we can move on to voting too, unless anybody has objections. Does anybody have any objections to the people that Patrick proposed in the doc, which I'll share once again in the chat? Does anybody have any last reactions or objections?
That's not the people that I am proposing. That's the people that we have all agreeing already on another episode. But how the process is working here, when you are doing a proposal, on the next week, you have to redo the proposal. So I have just remade the proposal that we have already speak along. And I am totally okay with the people that will be in, like Marco, to Luminary, Sebastian, etc. I don't want to repeat every people that will be included in. And if someone has a claim, so if someone want to say, I want also to be in because of that, we can also consider, but at least we have already our set of people to include in, and we know already who to remove. That's nice. Let's move on.
Sounds good, Patrick. Thank you. Sounds good. Yeah, so I haven't heard any objections or any further reactions, and we do also want to get to Tadas' proposal. I see Tadas wrote, let's vote. So I think that's a good suggestion. I'm ready to vote. I just see CAC raise his hand though first. So first we'll hear from CAC, and then we'll vote after that. We had let's vote and yes from Vlad too. So CAC, what do you think?
No, I just wanted to say, let's just get on with this. This has dragged on for so many weeks. Let's just get it over with.
Let's do it. Sounds good. Okay, the proposal that we can vote on here is, do you agree with the people who we mentioned in the MSIG? There's the spreadsheet and everything, but I'll just, say to all delegates, raise your hand and say yes if you agree. So I agree, yes.
Yes.
Yes. And yeah, baby. By the way.
Yeah.
And also, by the way, for people watching on YouTube, we got a yes from CAC. Sometimes the emojis don't show on YouTube. So we have a yes from me, CAC, Tadas, Marco, I see, Vlad, Patrick, Perry, Pascal. I don't know if I missed anybody there. I'd be curious to hear what Sebastian thinks too, because Sebastian's in several councils. I didn't hear from Sebastian.
We'll also consider Eric a delegate for this week.
And Eric too. I see a thumbs up from Eric in the Zoom too. So is anybody keeping track of who voted yes? I think right now, I'll share the screen to show what I think Tadas is doing here. So now you should be able to see the screen where we got yes from Marco, yes from CAC, yes from Vlad, yes from Dan. We still haven't heard from Sebastian yet. Sebastian, have you voiced your opinion about this? Or said yes or no?
Sorry, it's a yes.
Okay, we got a yes from Sebastian. Gabriel is not in attendance today, I don't think. So, but we have 2 out of 3 consensus. By the way, each council needs to have 2/3 plus 1 consensus. So there's 2/3 there. So I think that is sufficient. And then Pascal, did Pascal say yes or no? If Pascal, can you hear us? You're muted right now, by the way. Okay, you are muted, but I hear you raising your hand.
It's yes for me.
Okay, got a yes from Pascal. And Perry, did you vote, Perry? You voted yes, right? Or did I miss
did. I
that?
voted yes.
Okay, cool. So that means I think we have consensus here. By the way, Tadas, one thing I'm curious about with this, is it 2/3 plus 1 or 2/3? Like, for example, Council 16, I think that's sufficient to reach consensus that we have 2 out of 3. It doesn't need to be over 2 out of 3, right?
Yeah. Yeah, two out of 3 is enough.
Okay, cool. So well done, everybody. Congratulations and thank you. Thank you, Patrick, for the proposal, and thank you everybody for voting. We've approved Patrick's proposal here to implement these people into the MSIG. If we have about a half hour left to come to consensus about the second proposal, if we'd like to do that. So I suppose if there's no further comments about that, then now's a good time to pass it on to Tadas.
Thanks, Dan. Now I will try to share my screen. Let's see if that works, because it doesn't always work here. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is basically a table which tries to portray the whole permission structure. Yeah, so the main change I did from previous proposals by Dan and Vlad is that I modified the timeout, well, the delay weights and how they are set up. So basically, overall,
3 days.
yes. So basically, as always, we have owner and active, and additionally, we have custom permission, and the custom permission will be allowed to do one thing, that is submit ranks action, which performs the actual distribution of rewards. And yeah, so the way it is set up is that you either have 3 people and 3-day delay, or you have 6 people, at least 6 people who have to sign. So the rationale is that 3 people is enough to distribute the rewards, to make sure that we never get stuck. But if only 3 people sign, then they need to wait 3 days. And the point is that during those 3 days, the active permission can override their decision, which is good, because these 3 people could be malicious and try to abuse the system and drain the funds. Yeah, so the way active permission is set up is that you either have 5 people and 2-day delay to activate the active permission, or you have 6 people sign. So the idea is that 5 or 6 people will always be able to override the custom permission activated by 3 people and 3-day delay. Yeah, so I think that strikes a nice balance between security from attacks and also to prevent us getting stuck by not having enough signatories. And also I modified the owner permission. I wanted to make it so that owner permission could as well override the active permission, at least if active permission uses the delay. So for that, we needed one more person into the owner permission, and that's why I added myself.
Thank you.
Yes. So yeah. So right now, if 5 people in the active permission are malicious and they do something bad, then there are 7 people remaining who can override that action by using the owner permission. Yes, previously if we had only 11 people in the owner permission, we wouldn't be able to do that. So that's why I added myself to the owner permission. So I think that's my attempt at the overview. Any clarification questions?
Yes. From yesterday brainstorming session, and you will see the video coming and the mind map up to date. I am just taking the note of Tadas of yesterday during the brainstorming session, and I have put into the chat here. I will read that, and Tadas, you will say to me if I say something wrong. So Tadas, you have proposed to increase the weight of the time delay for the custom permission in order that less signatures are needed, and at the same time, make it possible for active permission to override the custom permission. And there is a Google link here. That's your document. I think it's the document that you are in Pinata here. That's a part of your document. And I just take exactly the notes of yesterday. I have changed anything. That's what we have discussed during the brainstorming session. That's all what I want to share with you, to share some commitment and accountability and transparency when we are doing the things, just about that. So Tadas, if something is wrong with this text, say now.
No, it is right. It is still right.
Thank you. I agree fully with this proposal, like Vlad is stating. I am totally comfortable with this weight. And by the way, it's not frozen in the stone. That could change during the weeks or during the moving forward, because we have no crystal ball, by the way. So that's depend of the people also and the behaviors and etc. Okay, I give the mic to Perry or Marco.
Marco is next.
Who is the first?
Yeah, Marco is next.
The objective is for to override before it finalizes on the contract, right?
Could you repeat that?
The objective is to finalize before it goes on the blockchain.
Finalize what?
The objective is to override any malicious intent before it goes in the blockchain.
Well, technically, yeah, the objective is to override before any malicious action takes effect on the blockchain. Yes.
Yeah, it's structured whereby, say, if hypothetically there were 5 people in the active permission who wanted to act in some malicious way, then the owner permission would be able to stop that with 7 people, and there'd be a 2-day delay. And a similar kind of dynamic with the custom permission as well, where the active permission could step in within 3 days to change some sort of action on the custom permission as well. Thanks.
Can I just say something before Perry? Sorry. I just want to remind something. Yesterday we were stating with, that's very quick and that's important. Yesterday into the brainstorming session, that's recorded, and we stated 3 days delay here could maybe not 3 days delay. That could be something else, maybe 2 days. So I don't know if Tadas will explain that better than me, but that was the point of yesterday. Okay, but I will respect Perry as his hand raise here. So let's go.
Okay, thanks, Patrick. Perry?
Tadas, could you put that, could you share your screen again, please? Did we? Yeah.
Shared now.
Yes, thank you. I thought I heard you say that there was a threshold of 3 and I think that referred to the submission of the weekly rankings. But I see under the column of custom permissions, or actually in all of them, I don't see any number 3. So that's one point of confusion for me. And then the other thing is that I just want to say I love Felix, but why is he still here? Why is he here in these? Why does he have this kind of MSIG power, but he doesn't show up anymore? I really wish he would show up, but what's the rationale of that?
Felix was not supposed to stay into the MSIG. We have already said that he should be removed, but by the way,
So, yeah, I can also respond to that too. But Tadas, would you like to respond to any of that first, or would you like me to respond to any of it first? You're muted right now, Tadas.
Yes, I will respond to the first question, maybe first. So yeah, by 3, I meant it's the amount of people that the minimum amount of people that are needed to activate the custom permission, submit ranks permission. The real threshold is always 6. So the way it works, the reason why 3 people, the 3 signatories are enough is because of we use 3-day delay and we give it a weight of 3. So if you have 3 people plus they wait 3 days, then you reach that threshold of 6.
Otherwise, you could reach 6 immediately.
Yeah, but you would need 6 signatories.
Okay. Okay. And then who or what is eden.fractal at eosio.cc? Who is that?
yeah, we can explain that. Yeah, very cool.
It's the ending is eosio.code, I think.
Yes.
It doesn't show.
That's
so
correct.
basically, it's the code permission. It's it basically means that
I put into the
smart
chat.
contract, if smart contract issues submit ranks action, then it will always work. Basically, this permission is this authority represents the smart contract code authority. But currently there are no smart contract actions which call the submit ranks. So currently this wouldn't be used.
And who controls that code besides you?
Yeah. So if well, first of all, I don't me alone. I don't control it at all. But maybe Vlad will correct me if I'm wrong. But active permission is able to upload to set the code of the account. So yeah,
so the middle column is actually controlling the contracts.
Yeah, or the owner, both of them could change the code.
And it's very important to keep this permission eden.fractal at eosio.code, because that's enable the contract eden.fractal to do actions that are included into the smart contract. And yeah, that's very important. You cannot remove this one. That's very important.
Okay, so if I may finish, what I'm seeing here, what I think I'm discovering while I'm asking questions, is that we're getting closer to decentralization, and that's great, and this is awesome that we're making these steps. But I think it's obvious to everybody now that we're not quite there, because ultimately the controller of eden.fractal.code is in charge.
I think it might be helpful. Go ahead,
on.
Tadas.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that well, the controller of eosio.code is active permission, or the current code, or the active permission. So it's this.
But whoever controls that code is by proxy has 6 votes.
What do you mean by controlling the code?
Well,
So
who is uploading the code and setting it in place to be executed?
It would be the active permission and the developers who are developing the code, and then the active permission who is signing to introduce that code. So effectively, the active permission gives a weight of 6 to be able to execute actions upon itself automatically, but it's all the active permission. I think Vlad could probably introduce better because he has the greatest understanding of it. We have had this for a long time. It was initially introduced by James and Mark, because without that, the contract isn't able to execute its own actions automatically. So that has the same weight as the active permission, and it can fulfill the active permission. Perhaps it could be explained better, but I think maybe Vlad can explain it best, and Vlad's had his hand up for a while.
Let me ask it a different way. And if you wanted to create a completely new contract with completely separate code, and I'm not suggesting that you would, but I'm just saying, if you did, if you wanted to do that, could you do that unilaterally? Could you do that by yourself without the owner set or the active set of threshold?
I mean, I could write a contract and upload it to the chain, but it wouldn't be uploaded to the eden.fractal account, which we are using.
Okay, so then I think you've corrected me in saying that the active list minus the eden.fractal is still in charge. You can't unilaterally act without it. You cannot. Is that right?
Yes, and that's actually the idea. The custom permission is supposed to make it easy, but only with some conditions that active permission does not, active or owner permission does not disagree with that decision.
Okay.
That makes sense.
So this table, you're just being accurate in telling us what parts have the rights, but in fact, that account isn't really the same as the rest. It's really a qualified different account. So I appreciate you putting that on the list, but yeah, it is confusing a little bit because it doesn't vote. That account does not vote.
No.
Or it's not voted by a person.
It is a bit confusing because we're working with the technicalities of the Antelope permission system. But as far as I understand, that is necessary to have that amount of weight to be able to process as normally. That was recommended by James Martin in the beginning. We've had that the whole time. And I think now's a good time to pass on to Vlad too. Vlad's had his hand up for a while, and he's got the most knowledge about this, as well as whatever else. Vlad, I see that he just wrote a message in the chat too in response to CAC. So yeah, I'll just pass on to Vlad. Vlad, what do you think?
Well, Perry had second question as well in regards to Felix, and I reached out to him. He said that he might be joining again, so that's the rationale behind keeping him. Let's see. If he won't be joining, then we can just quick proposal to remove him later.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you. That's great news.
Okay, fine. If he come, yeah.
And Vlad, is there anything else you wanted to add on to the discussion about the eden.fractal EOSIO code, or do you think that we have discussed that thoroughly enough already?
Quite thoroughly, but the point is that the people in the MSIG control this eden.fractal EOSIO code, so it's controlled by the people in the MSIG.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
Is there any distinction between the lists above and below the number of days? There's no difference between the accounts listed above the 2 days or below the 2 days or above the 3 days or below the 3 days?
No, it's just ordered that way. Maybe we should order it more sensibly next time.
Yeah, although there are two differences though. So one difference is that Tadas is on the owner permission, but he's not on the active or custom permission. And then the other difference is that eden.fractal / EOSIO at EOSIO code is not on the owner permission. It doesn't need to be on the owner permission, but it's on the active permission. And custom permission. So those are the two differences. And I agree, ordering it a bit more cleanly would be helpful. Any way we can reduce confusion and increase clarity can be helpful, especially because we're dealing with some fairly technical topics.
And my last question is, I don't recognize James VR or the GM3 guy.
James VR is James Mart, and the GM3 is Andrew Ware.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So thank you, Perry, for all the great questions and all the great discussions. Before we pass on to Patrick too, I'll just briefly respond to CAC. He wrote a message in the chat for, a few minutes ago, and Vlad shared a response. Who's responsible for monitoring proposals to know if the active or owner needs to override it? Also, need to create a guide to show people how to stop a transaction if it's malicious. Vlad wrote, good point. I think we're all responsible. Universal stop page transaction, universal stoppage to transaction could be to remove the permission that is malicious. Yeah, so basically, it's just up to us as a community to secure the account and check and just make sure, we'll have these weekly meetings, and we'll also have discussions in the Telegram group. So if anybody sees a proposal that doesn't look right, I trust everybody here a lot that has great intentions, but also we'll have new people coming in, and the MSIG could change in the future, and who knows what will happen. So we can just all play a role in just making sure that proposals are good, and then if needed, then we'll have 2 or 3 days to override if necessary. And then, yeah, I agree that creating a guide to show people how to stop it would be a good idea. I mean, it's pretty simple overall, and we have a guide for how to submit an MSIG proposal already, so I can curate that into the MSIG article or without elsewhere. But basically, it would just be making a proposal to either change the active permission if the active permission was acting permission in some bad way, or making a proposal that counters the effect of some other proposal. And that's fairly simple to do. I hope that answers your question, CAC. Feel free to raise your hand and ask more about it as well.
I don't raise my hand. I just butt in.
Okay, I'll also just remind UCC and everybody as well, please do raise your hand when you want to speak and do not butt in. I mean, we can keep it casual sometimes, and we don't want to make it too strict, but we do have moderation guidelines. In the past, we had it where sometimes people spoke over each other, and so we proved a proposal with moderation guidelines where everybody can raise their hands, and then the elected moderator can call on them. So that generally helps make a more structured meeting. So it's okay if you want to share something quickly, and we're all, having a friendly and fun environment, but at the same time too, please try to respect it so that everybody has a chance to speak as well, and people can raise their hand. With that, I'll pass on to Patrick.
Double raise hand.
Thanks,
I just want to make a nice statement here. I think it's not a big problem if you have just 6 people, can always do it faster. We are talking about concern maybe with these 3 days here into the time delay, but that's not really a problem because we can change that later on. And I think this is better than the current that we have already, and we can pass this proposal today. And I thank you very much, Tadas, for this proposal. And he knows already that his proposal is improvable, the time delay, because there was a question yesterday into the brainstorming session, we do without the time delay or with the time delay. So it is with the time delay, but let's do the things step by step, and we can always improve. The MSIG is not frozen in the stone. That's the beautiful of EOSIO or Antelope LEAP protocol. We can change. That's not frozen in the stone. And thank you for this nice proposal, Tadas. I love it. And Vlad, thank you very much also for all what you were doing. And then yesterday into the brainstorming session, I encourage to publish this episode number 5 after this call and do a nice swarm to swarm, or maybe not. I will see. But thank you very much.
Sounds great. Thank you very much, Patrick. And thank you to Tadas and Vlad and everybody who's helped put together this proposal. At this point, I'll say we're 5 minutes to the top of the hour right now. So we haven't fully went through the sociocratic method guidelines with clarification, reaction, so forth. So far, we did a lot of clarification and mix some reactions in there. If the delegates do want to try voting on this proposal, then we could do that in the next 5 minutes and vote on it. Also, we could save it for next week if we want to ask more questions too. We've had some people who have voiced opinion to vote on it now. And I see CSC raise his hand too. So CSC, do you have some thoughts here? And thanks for raising, by the way.
I mean, as Perry has said, I love Felix as well, but I think we need to remove him until he starts showing up again.
No, not another
Let's
week of
vote.
discussion. Let's vote. Let's try
Let's-
voting.
Yeah, let's vote.
Okay, so we have a few different delegates who are suggesting to vote. So I'd say we call a vote. And by the way, just repeating a little bit of what Patrick said before, we could always make changes in the future. So if we did want to pass this proposal this week and then pass another proposal quickly next week to remove Felix or whatever other change, then we could do that. So we got a thumbs up from Vlad. Do the delegates want to vote on this? The rest of the delegates, who else do we have in delegates? We have CAC's delegate.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I heard a question session. I didn't hear a comment session.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, there's a bit of a conflict of interest right now because on one hand, we want to go with the sociocratic method where we have the questions and clarifications and then reactions and objections and integrations. On the other hand, we have several delegates who want to pass this proposal now too. So basically, I'll first call a vote to the delegates. Should we proceed with the sociocratic method and go on to a more detailed reactions and objections kind of phase? Or should we just make a vote on this proposal right now? So all delegates, do you prefer to make a vote on this proposal now?
Yes.
Okay.
Second option.
Okay. So second option, it would be a better way to put this together. Maybe we can do it in the chat because there's two different options. There's only two options that I'm proposing here. So if you want to vote on it right now, then vote 1 and then write 1 in the chat. And then if you want to continue discussing it and then save voting for next week, then vote number 2.
1, 1, and 1. Voila.
Okay.
I'm surprised not to see Eric on the vote on the additions of those things. But we've discussed this one time.
I think skipping out on the commentary is really kind of the whole violation of the whole point of this entire group. I mean, we're gonna railroad something without actually discussing it. Yeah,
Well, we have discussed it in quite a lot of detail before.
I thought that was the question. I was asking questions. I wasn't making statements.
Yeah, right. So let me say a few things here. First, we only have a couple minutes left, so if we do want to go quick, it made it very difficult to read and figure out who voted 1 because several people voted twice. So I'm not sure who voted yes or no. So perhaps we can figure out a better process there. I see Tadas has hands raised. Tadas proposed this. So Tadas, what do you think?
Yeah, so what I just said in the chat, I don't think it's wrong to vote now because we didn't commit to always use sociocratic method for all the proposals. So if delegates agree to vote now, I don't see anything wrong with voting now.
Okay, cool. I also don't see anything wrong as well. So rather than trying to do it with the chat, which has become fairly difficult to read, maybe that wasn't the best way to do it. Let's go with raised hands. If you're a delegate and you want to vote for it, then raise your hands and say yes. And this isn't voting yes or no,
Absolutely.
just on the vote. So we have that. Okay, and how about we just cut the process and just do it faster? Do you want to vote yes or no on this proposal? Do you agree with the following permission structure on the eden.fractal account that is shown in this spreadsheet? And if delegate agrees with it, then raise your hand and say yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Antelope. Yeah. Vote. Vote.
Don't like dragging things. Yes.
What's that, Pascal?
Yes is yes, Dan. When is yes, let's go.
Okay, so well, Pascal is entering the yeses, so we have a yes from Pascal. All right, we can.
Yes.
We can.
So, Marco, yes or no?
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Nice. Thank you, Marco.
Please correct me if I input anything wrong. CAC.
Yes.
Yes.
CSC says
yeah.
yes. I think. Okay.
Sebastian.
Real quick, can I say something? Wait,
Let's first hear from all the delegates, if that's right with you, Marco, and Sebastian. Oh, well, it was something short then, yeah, but if we could just go with like yeses and nos first before getting a longer conversation. But Sebastian,
what was the question? Sorry.
the question is, do you agree with the following permission structure on the eden.fractal account that was just shown on the screen?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
A-
Yeah.
And by the way, we are technically over the hour right now, so I don't know if we want to stick very
No.
firmly to that, and we can always
Oh.
pass it next week. I mean, it's really not the worst thing if we want to save it for next week as well and just pass it next week, or do whatever we want next week too. That's an option.
You speak too much. You speak too much. Speak too much. We have to vote.
I think we voted slightly
In time.
before.
Before,
time.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
I just
Absolutely, we
filled
have
in-
voted.
Filled in later, but
Okay, sounds good.
yes. So if what you see on the screen is correct, then when we have passed it, I think.
Yes, I think so. So there was a no from Perry, as far as I understand, and a no vote from. All right, and there's no vote from Gabriel, but everybody else voted yes, who's on council. So I think that is approved. Congratulations, everybody, on another proposal. That's 2 proposals today, so that's great. And we have an updated MSIG now. Thank you so much,
Oh,
Das,
dear.
for making the proposal, as well as Patrick as well, so helped out. Oh, Marco, you had something you wanted to add there?
Yeah, real quick, while we're here, Eric has one of my votes
Oh.
this week, and why isn't Eric on the MSIG?
Oh.
Or did I miss his account?
Good question. So for one thing, did Eric vote with Marco's vote? So Eric, are you in favor of this proposal? And then second off, if you want to respond to Marco's comment about being on the MSIG, that would be welcomed. It seems like Eric's being quiet. He's backing up and just arms crossed.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't need to be on the MSIG. It's okay, but I just want to make sure as I run these other organizations like FAA and Alien Worlds, and we've got more in the mix, that it doesn't that doesn't distract. I'll still be here, but I want to make sure to have the full time in there. So I don't mind not being in there for now.
Okay, cool. Sounds good, Eric. And yeah, I think it'd be great if you want to be on the MSIG sometime, just my personal opinion. I think you'd be a great signatory on there. But yeah, it's up to you. And we can always change it in future weeks.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's not worth spinning up over now, because
Yeah, right. But
Right.
that's the MSIG side.
I'm gonna be more focused on that when I say, how do I have to set up similar structures for these other organizations? Right now, I'm just trying to run those organizations and get them up to speed with basics.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not ready to have MSIG discussions with them. They're just, how can we get a bunch of people on Zoom to start talking to each other and reaching consensus? That's a big deal for somebody who doesn't know anything about what we do.
I'll say to Rosemary,
Yes.
it's been a bit more exciting than past weeks.
Oh yeah.
So it'd be great to get your how you saw this whole thing.
Also, another focus on mine is, how can I do everything in an hour a week? Because when you go to organizations that are more passionate about getting there done, when you say a meeting to people, that doesn't get people excited. So far they're excited at getting together and having these discussions. And we have an hour networking afterwards, which they seem to really like to do. But to say, let's have a 2-hour meeting, I have to figure out how to do this in an hour. And I've talked with many people here, including Dan, on how to do that. So that's my focus, is moving us quickly to meetings that work.
Yeah, that's a great focus. And thank you very much, Eric. If anybody's not familiar with what Eric is doing, I mean, he's doing a whole lot of stuff, but the artifact that he's talking about is an artifact that he hosts on every Saturday at 16 UTC, I believe, actually no, 17 UTC. and I think everybody's welcome to join there. I've joined a few times so far already, and I'm looking forward to joining much more. He's got a bunch of great artists who are doing great work, who aren't as familiar with it. So people can check that out. And then also Eric joined the town hall, the Eden town hall this week. And in the coming days, we'll release an episode. For the first hour or so, we discussed all the cool projects that Eric has been doing with the Art Fractal and Center for Governance and so forth. So you can learn much more about Eric's work by checking out those meetings, joining them, and checking out the town hall that's coming up soon. I also wanted to, well, there's something I wanted to say to Perry and a couple other people too. But I suppose first I'll pass it on to Patrick. Patrick has hands up. What do you think?
Oh, I think today that's just beautiful because, you know, Rosemary is joining here for the first time, I think. Huh? And us, we are here since June last year, imagine. And we are at our 35 episode today. And that makes since the episode 27 that we are speaking about the MSIG. So I am just happy that we have reached. Oh yeah, baby, that was nice. By the way, I was becoming Pat Nova Joy to have some fun here, but now I have an announcement. I am Pat Nova Bat, and Pat Nova Bat is Batman. I am okay to be chased, skewed, purchased, let's say fighted, but I will always say what I mean to say the truth. That's okay. Also, if I am not agreeing with Dancing Joy, I will tell him what I mean. Yesterday, that was a very hot brainstorming session. During the call, we were, because that was recorded, we were all like lions, beautiful lions. Then when the call was off, I was becoming very mad, stating that if today we will not vote about who has to be added and removed from this MSIG, I will become the Batman. But now I am okay to continue to be the Batman. Okay, so happy for today. That was a nice one. I see Vlad burning, Tadas burning, Lenny stoic as always, Marco just surprised of this brainstorming session of yesterday. That was just beautiful. And today we are continuing. Rosemary, join us again. That was a nice one today. Yeah, baby. Let's go eden.fractal and let's move faster and with all your heart, your soul, and your mind. That's the eden.fractal, and
Okay,
Pat Nova Bat will be here for a long time.
Excellent.
All right, Pat Nova Pat. I also would propose Bat Nova Joy too. I think there might be something you could do there. But yeah, thanks again for the brainstorming session and the speech. I saw it looked like Rosemary was enjoying that too. So thanks for sharing all that. And now, Perry, what do you think about it?
Well, I want to thank the Swiss Batman for that statement. What I'd like to do is actually
thank you.
What I'd like to do is actually have the discussion that I think we should have had regarding the last proposal. And my comments are that what I was about to say before we surprisingly shut off what I think is the most important part of the process is the fact that we need to evaluate the thresholds of that proposal. So it appears to me that we dropped the proposal down to the threshold down to 25%. In other words, 3 people of a total of what I believe are 12 individuals can now affect change. Now you say, well, yeah, there's a 3-day delay. That means I have to check every day as to whether any vote was happened, and that's not practical. We all know that's not practical. So I will, and then in the case that you didn't have the 3-day delay, that's a maximum of 50%. So my question is, what's the thinking about dropping the threshold down so low? I understand we're in a development mode, and it makes it easier for the developers. I acknowledged that last week, but I'll ask it the question this way: if any of us had a significant amount of money in this group, would we accept that? And I would say the question is absolutely not. No one in this group would accept that. So why are we accepting that now? And for new people coming in, if they're thinking about that, like, would I really invest my time or my energy and the future of this group if it so easily could be captured? So my question, what I'm going to be looking for is what's going to be coming down the pipe here in the next weeks or months that is going to take advantage of that low threshold.
Thank you very much, Perry. Before you go, Sebastian, I'd like to just share a couple comments about that. And we have comments lined up from Sebastian, Tadas, and Patrick, but I would like to go first, if that's right with everybody.
Sure.
So thank you for sharing that, Perry. I want to make a comment about how we did that, moving on to voting quickly. So I'm glad you brought it up, and I also really appreciate you bringing that that kind of that analytical mindset and that mindset of like what could happen in the worst case scenario, and an engineering mindset about potential risks and threats that can happen. I think that's really important. I'm also a bit apprehensive about the low thresholds on the MSIG as well, and I think that we should discuss it more, and we can propose it more in the next week. Also, changing the people on the MSIG could be a great idea too, so we could definitely do that next week. A couple comments about who would invest time in it. So I'm personally investing the large majority of my time in this community, and I've thought about this very deeply. You can see the article that I wrote and I shared a few times at edencreators.com/MSIG. I created the initial MSIG and thought very detailed about how to design that. And then I spent many, many hours over the past weeks looking at all the proposals and thinking about this from all different angles. We have discussed this quite a bit in past meetings. So we discussed it during the 32nd eden.fractal meeting, which is linked there as well in the show notes, and also the 27th, and then also the last week's meeting. And there were several different viewpoints expressed. One of the viewpoints expressed is that made me more okay with the lower thresholds is the idea of like power to veto and collusion to veto, like in just the same way that having a low threshold could enable changes that are malicious, having a very high threshold could prevent the group from making changes that they want. So overall, and we also had brainstorming sessions. We had 2 brainstorming sessions about this too. We had a brainstorming session about this just yesterday and 2 weeks ago as well. We've gone into lots of details about this as well. So we have had a lot of discussions, and I'm also open to be convinced. I still think that it could be a higher threshold, and I thought about mentioning it, that maybe we should raise the threshold, but also I see that a lot of community owners want to move forward too, and I think that this proposal is good enough for where we're at right now. That's my personal opinion, so that's why I voted yes for it. But I appreciate you looking at it in that way, and I'm looking forward to discussing it more, and we can always make more proposals in the future about this. And then regarding the ability to change the with the custom permission. So one, the total amount of risk and damage that can be done with that is fairly low. Like the owner permission and active permission are, they have much greater power and responsibility in the custom permission. Vlad also shared a message in the chat about how there's a Telegram bot from the EOS Authority that could give us alerts too. That's also a good point too, that we want to make sure that we're not caught off guard in the future. So I'm not 100% sure that it was the best thing to pass this proposal next week. If it were up to me, then I probably would have approved it next week. But I think it was good enough to propose this week as well, and we can always change it next week. That's been kind of a long rant, but I hope that helps.
The combination of these discussions being delegated out to these fractal brainstorming sessions, in combination with having no commentary today, I think that is a bad mix. And I think what we watched today is not a democratic process because of those 2 things. Because we've been delegating out into the brainstorming sessions led by Patrick, and at the same time we had no discussion today. I think we violated ourselves.
thank you for the feedback, Perry.
No,
Although
no.
I would push back because, for one thing, everybody's welcome to join the brainstorming sessions. I encourage everybody to join them in the future. Secondly, we did still use the democratic process that we created. There were 3 out of 4 councils who agreed to make the change, and we did discuss it for a half hour and earlier and so forth. But I also agree that we could discuss it more as well.
I thought we were following the Socratic method, and I withheld my commentary for that reason.
Okay.
And I didn't hear an announcement that we weren't going to do the Socratic method. The last I heard is that we voted to do it. So I think that for me, in my mind, that vote was not taken in a valid method. So I protest. I protest that.
Thank you for your kind protest, Perry.
Oh,
to
yeah.
be clear,
We hear that. We hear that.
To be clear about the sociocratic method that we approved, we did not approve a formal proposal to do that every week and to fully do it every week. The proposal was much more informal. It was, do we want to try this for a few weeks? So it's not something that we're doing exactly according to the protocol. And in this case, we took a delegate vote about whether we wanted to continue it or not.
I hear you, but I think what we did was wrong today. Yeah, I think it was wrong. I think we need to do it differently.
Okay, thank you for the feedback, Perry. That's really helpful, constructive feedback and constructive criticism. And I think there is some valuable wisdom in there, but I think now is a good time to pass it on to Tadas.
Thanks. Yeah, so first, I think Dan mentioned most of the points. Well, first of all, how did we, if we look at all the proposals that we already passed, which constitute basically our rule set which we have to follow, it doesn't say anywhere that we should follow a sociocratic method on every meeting. There was only one proposal to follow sociocratic method during the next meeting. So it was only passed for one meeting. And basically, current rule set says that councils can pass whatever proposals they like during the hour after breakout rooms. So I don't see how we violated ourselves at all. And yeah, also the Telegram bot could be used to notify when custom permission does something. And what else? Also, the way MSIG is currently, where currently 3 people already can do the submit ranks action. So it's not, at least it's not, we haven't made it less secure than it currently is. And we also made it easier for active permission to override the custom, submit ranks action.
I agree we're going in the right direction with the proposal. In the sense that we increased the threshold, but we just didn't really have I think a valid, an open discussion as to the proposal. It was clearly railroaded, and it's all on video. So
the reason it was railroaded by the consensus of the delegates. The reason why I was rushing, because I see other
the discussion
we
was
move at the
railroaded.
speed at which the consensus.
There was no discussion. There was questions.
So Perry, I think it'd be helpful if you let Tadas speak right now because you're speaking over him a little bit.
I think there was enough discussion for all of the delegates who voted yes. And that's the majority of the delegates. I don't know what more do we need. Of course, I would have preferred to have heard your comments before we voted. But I saw a lot of people rushing, wanting to pass the proposal faster. So,
yeah,
so
exactly
I'm sorry that we didn't hear your full opinion before we voted. I hope we do better next time.
Yeah,
this is critical. So
I'm also in agreement with Tadas too. I am sorry that we didn't get to it more and that you don't feel satisfied with it, but I also really appreciate the feedback too. But overall, I do think that we did it according to the process that we set out to do. I also just shared a link to the sociocratic guidelines that we passed in the chat. And the proposal we passed in week 31 sounds okay, safe enough to try. Let's see how it goes in the next few eden.fractal meetings. So this wasn't a firm proposal. There's no place where it says we have to do this. In fact, in the proposal that the DOS made for the Eden plus Fractal, which you can find the link that I'm sharing here, it talks about how the power of the delegates is, I suppose, protected from other processes. Like, and this process outlines how, for example, another proposal for the associated guidelines wouldn't prohibit the delegates from making a vote if they want to. So there's certainly ways we can improve this, but I suppose that I'll leave it there now. I'm happy to discuss this more afterwards too, if you'd like, Perry. I think this would be a great discussion to continue because there is a lot to explore here. And I also see Patrick has hands. So I know Sebastian has hands up too, so I'd be interested to hear from Sebastian. But first, I guess I'll pass it to Patrick.
Yeah, I just want to answer to Perry. Perry, you have joined the Eden Fractal meetings that we are doing today since, I don't know how many weeks or how many months, but I want to say the MSIG, we are speaking here in long and in large and in all the dimensions since episode 27 already. And also we have started this MSIG in order that the power of this hidden fractal is the most distribute. Also, when we distribute the reward to the people, we use this MSIG. This MSIG will be also used when we have to make a proposal, for example, not only going on consortium, but also sometimes using the MSIG for what is an MSIG. And I think we are elected into our breakout room here into the first part of this hidden fractal as a delegate. Who is voting for the delegate? The people that are into the breakout room. They have chosen to elect the guy into the breakout room as a delegate. Today into our breakout room, I was with you. I have accepted to let CIC going as a delegate. He was never going. I was raising my hand that I want to be a delegate. I was happy to see someone else. That's okay. So I think we are doing the things with the tools that we have into our hands for the moment. That's the Eden plus Fractal process. That's the processes that we have. Like into Eden on EOS, we have processes. We have to improve them in order that the people will behave into the perimeter of these processes. I don't say the processes are perfect. We can improve every week. Now, and every day, every week, and make the press button and empty your mindset and going always fresh here into those meetings. Now, the brainstorming session. That was an idea on last year in October to start brainstorming session beside those meetings, not to make a fork or to make a new thing outside of Eden Fractal meetings. I was speaking with Dan, I was speaking with Vlad, I was speaking with Tadas. By the way, we have the Eden Fractal updates. We have made 4 updates of this Eden Fractal. That's on YouTube. Maybe Dan, you will share the link about that. The people can go there and understand really what we are doing here. We are creating processes. Then when we have the processes, we can let the human works with the processes that we are create. We have not really a biology for the moment. We don't know really what is the mission. We just want to help communities and collaborate between people. That's something that we can agree here. Now, if you join this meeting, it's because you want to be part of a community. And when you are part of the community, what is the point? When you are part of a community, you collaborate with people. That's the point. And that's what I want to say. So now about the lead, I am not the leader of this EFBS or the decider of something, or I don't know what word you will use. I just want to say I do this brainstorming session in collaboration with Dan, with Tadas, with Vlad, with Marco, with Lenny, with everyone that want to join. And by the way, that was repeated every time into this episode. We have the Eden Fractal brainstorming session every 2 weeks on the Tuesday at 16 UTC. Now, if the people don't join, we cannot do anything. We cannot push the people to join. We can just say we encourage to join. And we make enough little message into the Telegram. I pin the message. I make sure that the people are aware, not just one day before. I make in advance. So what else? Cappuccino or a vodka with popcorn? I don't know. So we do our things, and we are not here to say that's our decision, us. There is no decider into this hidden fractal. We are a group, and we work together. That's all. Perry,
Well, the entire
to be
point
clear
of
with
this
you.
group, Patrick, the entire point of this entire group is to create a decision-making process which defends against capture. That's what Eden Fractal was. That's what I assumed we were going for. And what I think has happened is that we've created this other, we did two things. We've created this other decision-making session, which is not required by the delegates and which is outside the actual meeting itself that we're having, and that we cut off the commentary of the proposal. Those two things in combination, I think, has violated the entire point of us meeting. So I think what we need to do in the future is either incorporate that brainstorming session into these meetings or require the delegates who are making the decisions to be part of those meetings. So by satelliting it out into a separate meeting, I think we violated our.
Okay, I will answer. I will answer you. I will answer you why we have made brainstorming session outside of this hidden fractal meeting. I will explain you why. The process of the main room, when we are finished with the breakout room, that is 55 minutes, 55 minutes, 45 minutes, I don't remember exactly. Then we have the main room. The goal of the main room is, for the moderator that is here, it's Dancing Joy, to have made a sorting of the proposal, and then during the main room, at the first minutes, we have to vote on the proposal that were already made on consortium, and also we have maybe to signal new ideas, new theme, or new proposal. That's the goal of the main room. Then to dive into the complexity of a proposal like an MSIG, it's not easy, an MSIG. We have the EFBS, Eden Fractal Brainstorming Session, to dive into the complex proposal. That's the goal of those brainstorming sessions. That's 1 hour, and that's but let me finish. That's every 2 weeks. That's every 2 weeks. That's not every week. That's every 2 weeks. In order that we have the time, everyone, to make our mindset upgraded, and when you come back here, you are updated. And we separate the thing. It's not about to do a fork or to do and you use words sometimes like we violate. You use very.
So Patrick, let me jump in here for a second. We've been going back and forth for a while.
Careful, I will say.
Okay, so thank you, Patrick and Perry, for the thoughts and feedback. I want to just make a note of the time, be respectful of everybody's time. We have been going for 3 hours since we started, 2.5 hours since the Eden Fractal started. So normally we would wrap it up around this time. If anybody has to go, then of course that you're welcome to go and do what you need to do. And this video will be posted on the Eden Careers YouTube channels as well as edenfractal.com/35, so you can catch up on the anything that you missed. There's also been several comments too. So I see I kind of interrupted Patrick there, so sorry for interrupting you there, but I want to just jump in. Perry also has hands up. I'm sure he has more thoughts too. Sebastian has hands up for a while, and Vlad has hands up too. Marco wanted to say something. So there's a lot of comments here, so we can keep it going. But I want to just remind everybody of the time, so everybody's mindful of that. And I also wanted to say thanks everybody for joining, and hope everybody had a good time, and looking forward to discussing some more. And then also particularly to both Rosemarie and to Space Wrangler Joe, who I think is JZA. I'm not sure if that's if it's a different person. I know you had some issues with the account, but hope that you've enjoyed your first full meetings. I'd also be very happy in the future, in an ideal situation, we'll be able to hear more from both of you about your first experiences. So if you want to share your experiences about how you thought about it in general, perhaps that might be a nice little thing to do in the middle of all this intense talk at the MSIG. So I know Sebastian's had his hand up for a while too, but before we pass on to Sebastian, is there anything you want to share, Rosemarie or Space Wrangler Joe, about what you thought about the experience so far?
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. It's great. I'm learning a lot of things. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Glad to hear.
Cool.
You kind of came in the middle of so much commotion
Yeah,
and stuff like
positive
that.
vibes.
But I'm glad you're loving it. Yeah,
Nice.
and I really appreciate the positive vibes. And I see Space Wrangler Joe's unmuted too. Do you want to share any thoughts, Joe?
Yeah, just thanks. It's interesting. It was nice to meet Batman and see so much, just so much effort being put into this and decentralization and the whole thing. So I'm looking forward to learning more and kind of catching up so I'm not as lost and confused.
Okay, this sounds great. Thank you, Joe. And just to be clear, is this JZA that I'm speaking to, or were you a different person? Because I'm not sure.
I am a different person.
Okay, cool. Well, sorry for the confusion then. I know JZA had some account issues. So that's my fault there. But if you'd like to briefly introduce yourself or share how you learned about the group and stuff like that, that would be cool too. I'm not familiar with you.
Actually, I learned about the group through Lisa Chandler. I've been getting involved more with the alien worlds. I'm from the wax community. I'm an artist, creator from Los Angeles. Yeah, I've met a couple people involved with this. Dwayne and gosh, what's his name? Westrich. He was just in here. I think he's gone now. And I've checked out his proposals and some different stuff. So again, I'm fairly new and just kind of learning as I go here. And you guys are way deep into it already.
Not so much. I mean, we are still in the beginning phase, in my opinion. Can I talk?
Yeah, sure. You've had your hands up. I have a couple of things written down for Joe, but you go first, Sebastian. I feel bad you've been waiting for so long, so go ahead.
You guys go first.
Okay, yeah, I'll just briefly say to Joe, thanks so much for joining. A big thanks to Lisa. If you're watching this, she was here before. I don't know where she went, but I appreciate Lisa inviting you. She also invited JZA, actually, come to think of it. And yeah, so that sounds cool. I'm looking forward to learning more about your work with the Wax community and all the cool stuff that you're creating. It sounds awesome. So I hope I hope you've enjoyed it and it hasn't been too intense overall. As Sebastian was saying, we are still in the beginning and lots of things are getting figured out, so we're pretty deep into it. But feel free to reach out with any questions and comments, and we can also share links or have discussions about it to help you learn about it. And I encourage you to join. We do these meetings every Wednesday at 15:30 UTC. The game started at 16 UTC. There's also the Alien Worlds meetups at every Thursday at 17 UTC too, which you'd be welcome to join at, where we discuss a lot of related topics with Dwayne, as well as the town hall on Sunday at 16 UTC. So lots of ways to interact in the community. But yeah, hope to see you again soon, and hope you enjoyed the experience. And thanks so much, Joe, and also Rosemary as well.
Dan.
Yes, Patrick?
Can I ask you to put into the chat a link to the brainstorming session playlist and a link to the Eden Fractal update playlist?
Yes,
like this, the people can go and check the. It's not for me that I do that. It's for the community. So if the people want to have not the time to join a meeting like the Eden Fractal meeting or the EFBS or the Eden Fractal brainstorming session, or have not seen an update about Eden Fractal, they can go there at any time. That's all time-stamped, the video, with my bad Swiss English. But at least we break down into the things. So you can go there, and you are welcome on the next brainstorming session. Everyone, Pascal, everyone, if you want to join, and if you cannot, you can see the episode. And just to finish, we have never integrated the brainstorming session into this Eden Fractal meeting because we want to make sure that the main room, we have 1 hour to speak and to do the things. And if we have to speak more in detail about something, we have the brainstorming session for that. That was the idea. Original idea, and I have not decided to do that without to ask Dan, without to ask Vlad, without to ask Tadas, that were delegate at this time, by the way. So I have not violated anything. We have not violated anything. We have made the things in collegiality. So that's all.
Yes, thank you, Patrick. I just shared the playlist in here, and I also just shared the link to the brainstorming article where I'm starting to curate about the brainstorming, but you watch all the videos in the playlist. There's not an update playlist, so I included a link to edenfractals.com/edenfractal, which is an early draft article that includes all the videos. I'll also share the playlist of just your Eden Fractal in general, but there's not a playlist I saw that's just about the updates. But anyway, I think that Sebastian's probably been waiting for like 5 or 10 minutes now, so let's pass on to Sebastian finally. And thank you for your patience, Sebastian.
Yeah, no problem. Great discussions. I have some points that are kind of separate. Now more like questions. I posted in the Eden Fractal group on Telegram and the Eden Fractal group on Discord. It's just a basic scheme about how Dunbar's number works. And I think we are with our Eden Fractal like at the 25. So my question is to you, Dan, or Patrick. Why don't we open a sub-channel in the Eden on EOS group and put the Eden Fractal in there so more people might join? Because I think
good question.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to start with people you are familiar and who you trust, but I did work for the EOSBs like MSIG and so on, and this whole stuff. It's not really, it's like not time intense or something. So I think we are kind of on the right path, and maybe we should have 150 people by the next or after the next election, because then we can have like this fractally model incorporated, having Dunbar's number in the back of your mind. Like, how do I say it? Like, let's say there are more than 1,000 people joining an election, like the Eden on EOS election. And then people go into the different fractal parts and, to the individual projects. There will be like, we have like a big meeting as it was intended. And then people can go into smaller Eden fractal groups. Like that would be something worth considering, in my opinion. And because I think it just, we have two problems. One is time, and the other one is like getting the right informations at the right time, not growing too fast, but definitely not growing too small, too slow, because I had this experience the election before the last one, where I was in a room with someone who knew me from back in the days, and we were only 2 people who showed up. So that's like not democratic at all, and I still received funds. So I think like having Eden evolve to a bigger organization and then having the Eden Fractal as sub organizations would be something we could aim for, or maybe promote or get feedback on. Not sure.
Yeah, that is a great suggestion, I think, Sebastian. It reminds me of a proposal that Marco made, I think, last week about how Eden on EOS and Eden Fractal can coordinate. For anybody, Rosemary or Joe, or anybody who's watching who's not familiar, there's the Eden Fractal. We have these weekly meetings every week. And then actually way before the Eden Fractal, but 2 years ago, started something called Eden on EOS, which was it's still running, and it has elections every 3 months, which work with a similar kind of consensus game or a similar kind of process. And we just had our last one with about 120 people or so a couple weeks ago. So I'm definitely looking forward to how we can collaborate more. Regarding your first suggestion about Telegram groups and so forth, for one thing, I shared the link to the Eden Fractal Telegram group, and I'm not sure if you meant putting in the Eden Community Telegram group or the public Eden EOS group, but
what I meant was we have like this new Eden on EOS group, right? like with topics.
Yes.
So why not create an Eden fractal topic? I mean, not today, but maybe in the next few weeks.
I think
when we have
okay.
when we have
Can I answer?
Sure.
I am a CD. I can answer here about that. We have. I am part of the CDs. I am not alone. We are 4. There is Nathan James, myself, Joshua Seymour, and Joseph. Okay. So just to make clear, on the Sunday we have the Eden Town Hall. Every Sunday now we have a channel. CIC has created a Telegram channel recently after the Eden Town Hall on the Sunday. A Telegram channel where some people have already joined to put the topics that the people want to see discussing when we are attending the Eden Town Hall. Make some suggestion. Myself, I was stating when I come on a Eden Town Hall on the Sunday, I will every time make an update about the CDs, for example. Now for Eden Fractal, sure into Eden Onios there will be a topic to make the link between the circle Eden Onios and the circle that is here, Eden Fractal, to let communicate the circle, not to merge, communicate. But before to connect the circles, every circle needs to have its values, good voyology, and all this stuff. Because if you connect too rapidly the circle, the goal is to have some funnel and onboarding people going to Eden Fractal and maybe joining Eden Onios. And Jesse, delegate level 1 on Eden Onios and liaison with the CDs through me. I have not asked that. That was naturally. So we communicate, and Jesse is working on civil protection and all those mechanisms to have really humans communicating. So if you open the gates too rapidly, the risk is there is no real structure and we have a new topic and then the people are going into circle and all. So we have to do the things step by step. So here into Eden Fractal, we are bottom up. We create the process with Vlad, Tadas, and others, and we go step by step on the top. And on Eden Onios, on this term, for the first time after 5 unit testing, we want to go step by step with the process from bottom to the top, but not only with the process, also let the people of the Eden Onios community, not only the delegates level 1, also the other member to join us. So here into Eden Fractal, I am also okay that we should not only include the delegate level, the delegates of this Eden Fractal to take some, let's say, privileged decisions sometimes, but also the token holders of this Eden Fractal. For example, when we vote on a proposal, but we have to improve. We will brainstorm again. So we have into our pipeline, we have different subjects like proxy, when that we will explain soon. We want to reward also the proposals proposers. When a proposer of a proposal has made a good proposal, like today, that was fantastic, he deserves to be rewarded. So Tadas, for example, nice proposal, that's passed, he deserves to be rewarded. But that's another subject. So just to make to answer to
makes totally
got
sense.
it. Yeah. Okay.
Very
okay.
wise. Yeah, maybe that's even a topic for the next Eden on EOS election. But thanks for the detailed answer. It makes totally sense now.
Yeah, thanks, Patrick and Sebastian. And
Thank you.
We haven't gone for a while, so we do have a system to discuss these in Eden Fractals. So I would suggest, Sebastian, if you want to talk more about this, or if anyone wants to talk more about this, then make a poll on consortium for next week to discuss as a discussion topic, because there's a lot we can go into. I know Marco did before too. I think probably a lot of us have been looking at a computer screen for a long time now, so it'd be good to wrap it up quite quickly. But before I did that, I just wanted to, I know Marco had his hands up. I'm sorry we didn't call on you earlier and you were waiting for a while. If you had any thoughts you wanted to share there, then I'd be happy to hear it. I see Perry also has hands up too. I'm not sure if that was just a remnant from before, if you still have any thoughts to share. But if Marco or Perry or anybody else wants to share some last thoughts before we wrap it up, then it'd be great to hear from you. I see Marco is ready to go. What do you think, Marco?
Real quick, this is an attempt to humanize blockchain in a sense. We should be welcoming of that. The delegates here don't stay that long. Anyone in any given week can be a new delegate. Given those factors, when a topic goes over a few weeks, like the ones we've had, people have more than enough time to just go into proposals. And maybe that should be part of the process. Anytime a topic, like, and this one was clear, we're referring to a past topic. And on both of them, these things have already been created, they weren't brand new. So it could be as simple as, well, we don't pass any proposal that comes in the first week, and then that solved the whole thing, because then everybody has an opportunity to create a proposal, think about it and stuff like that. We don't have to worry about things and stuff. The other thing I bring up is the size of the group. Sebastian brought that up as well. The size of the group will determine the governance structure. I mean, the best governance structure. So we should keep that in mind and maybe have a target. Once we reach a certain size, we should rethink some of the ways we do things. And that way, a lot of things just aren't even discussed because we haven't reached that target point. I made the suggestion of 100 participants over 3 weeks, just as an arbitrary thing, because 100 is a round number. But the thing is, we just don't say this many number of people. We give it a certain amount of weeks, so people are here. They've attended time and again, so we get to know them. But do they satisfy some of what Patrick had said? And at the same time, they have the opportunity to participate deeper, to become a delegate, to put in a proposal. If they don't, they don't. You know, that's it. So certain amount of people, certain amount of weeks. I love the idea of Discord. However, I will say this, and this is the last one I'll say. Discord is not as user friendly in getting into these discussions, but yeah, an organizational thing works. Now the Fractalgram, I'm eager to look at, and I think a lot of things will be tackled by automating some of that things here.
Yeah, and if I can add to that regarding the member count, because that's something I really have given a lot of thought to, is if it changes everything completely. So if, let's say we have like 150 people, let's say we have, that's, I would say that would be a sufficient number for, or maybe just 100 for an election to even be representative of the community itself that is doing it. Because you know how the rooms get mixed up and everybody knows each other and it's not anonymous voting and so on. And as soon as we hit like 200 people, there have to be like the time constraints have to be extrapolated. Like let's say you have like 6 proposals in one room and they are very complex, then you won't get to consensus in 45 minutes. You know, like and so maybe people should prepare before that. Or
well, that's the upload of consortium.
But we never reached, even with Eden on EOS, more than 400 members and actively participating. I think the highest amount was 200 people. So that's like, we don't even know what exactly comes or what exactly are the parameters that change as soon as we hit those kind of.
I can say, I can say on the priority of the proposal that's tackled in consortium. But yeah, no, definitely the number of people is gonna, it's just gonna be hard. If you have 200 people here all wanting to chime in on it, yeah, how many more delegates do you have? So yeah, we do need tools like Discord or something, but when it comes to the proposal, that's just the highest one choice. We have solved it.
Great points, Marco and Sebastian. I'm looking forward to listening to this again. My brain is a little bit tired right now to be able to absorb it more deeply. I would suggest that we probably try to aim to end it in the next 10 minutes or so. I can also stop recording. We can keep going after that too if you want. But I see Perry and Vi have their hands up. So Perry, what do you think?
Well, I just want to emphasize what I value in this group and what I understood the point of this group to be, which was independence and integrity. That we remain independent. That includes independent of other fractals, and the integrity of the decision-making process. So those are two things that are driving my responses. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Barry. Yeah, I'll just briefly say before, but I agree with those two. And I can also see too how if you weren't there at the going back to a prior discussion, if you weren't there for the brainstorming session, how that proposal could happen very quickly too. So I could see your perspective of how you think it could be passed sooner, and also what you talked about the mission and what the goal is too. We all see it a little bit differently too. So just a couple of general comments, but I guess I can just add to that by saying we're all, regardless of whatever the permissions are on chain, like we're all working together as a community, and we can all help to make each other more independent and act with integrity and so forth. Anyway, I could give a better speech another time in the future, but I suppose I'll pass on to Vlad now.
I thought in regards to, like, I think you would agree that we are pretty slow in passing the proposals. So one method how it could be accelerated is if just the delegates could vote throughout the week, and just the proposals sort of get locked, let's say an hour before the meeting starts, and then it's just, you can see, okay, those are the proposals that were accepted or rejected during the week. And I think that way we could pass many more proposals.
More, yeah. Totally.
Like validate stuff, right?
Not just validate, actually pass.
Right.
Yeah, and I completely agree that if we will have even 50 people in this meeting, imagine how messy it will get if each delegate would provide his reaction. We would never even pass one proposal per meeting. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah. And like
if I can just make sorry, I raise my
well, just let Vlad finish first, Patrick, please.
Yeah, and last thing in regards to the decentralization, if we will reach, we discussed it previously as well, that if we will reach the stage where the MSIG will automatically update with the delegates, then by default, if the participants number grows in the meeting, the MSIG will be more decentralized. So that's not that will be solved.
What we can do today is resolve this satelliting of the discussion outside of our meetings. We can do that today without because that was created outside of the chain. I think that's a degradation of our decision-making process by creating these meetings. I was not even aware that consensus was being created in those meetings, and now when it was combined today with a lack of a commentary section and railroaded up, that's, we need to change that, guys, because the entire point of us being here is the opposite of what just happened today.
Well, Perry, I don't agree there. I want to hear what Vlad thinks, but just in general, anybody's free to have a meeting with other community members outside of the meeting and help come to consensus. There's no prevention or no obligation that we could add to that. And that's simply what the brainstorming sessions are. And some community members voluntarily coming together, inviting everybody to join, sharing the video, and
But
discussing things.
That's what created this situation where everybody was okay with no discussion because the discussion already happened.
Yeah, I mean, most of my thinking about it has been over the past couple of days in result to the brainstorming session. Since yesterday, I thought about it quite a lot, but we can't constrain ourselves to do all decision making just in this 1 hour and all discussions.
I'm not suggesting that. All I'm saying is what has transpired is a violation of the very point of us being here. And there are alternatives.
Okay.
We can do it.
There is something, so I don't agree with that, but I can go on and on about it in this long discussion, but I kind of interrupted Vlad before, so I wanted to, sorry for interrupting you there, Vlad. What did you want to say?
I made my point.
Yep. Partly what you said, and partly that it's up to each delegate to do his due diligence. So he has to be up to date, and it's up to him. That's
Not my point, though. That's not my point. My point is all of that happened.
So what's
yesterday, or the 2 weeks before that? I assume yesterday. Consensus was apparently reached, and the discussion here in the meeting where we're supposed to be, where I was under the impression we're supposed to be discussing it, didn't happen because it happened somewhere else.
No, you don't get the point. Yesterday we don't reach consensus. Sorry, Vlad, you want to say something before that? Dan is saying to me that I have to cut me.
No, exactly.
You want to say something?
The consensus wasn't reached yesterday. Consensus is reached during this meeting.
The discussion.
Yesterday,
the discussion.
Exactly the contraire. Yeah. You don't understand because you have never joined also. And I want just to be clear. The goal of the brainstorming session is not to reach consensus during the brainstorming session, to go on this one today and make some arrangement between us, like in some community, other, in other.
I never said that.
Yesterday. Okay, watch the video that will be published today, and you will understand. But I just, Marco, I am speaking. I have my raised hand. I just want to say the goal of the EFBS, Eden Fractal brainstorming session, that's to dive into the proposal and speak about the how. So yesterday we were speaking about the threshold, all these technicalities, details, all those written into the mind map. It will be updated. And the video is timestamped. So you can go there and watch every timestamping every seconds. So yesterday we were not speaking, okay, today when we join today, we have to accept to add and remove people or to accept the proposal of Tadas. We were speaking about in the absolute what we have to do intelligently. And I take responsibility. I stated yesterday to Dan, to Vlad, to Tadas, to Marco, and Lenny also when he was there. I was explaining, we cannot let the people join this meeting and see every week the same circle going on when we are not really, sorry, I don't full respect, Dan, to have a sentiment that we are not moving on. I don't say that we do any progress. That's not that. But sometimes we are a little bit stuck ahead, and we have to moving a little bit more faster. Doesn't mean to make errors. Making the things right, but stone after stone. Because when you say something on another episode, you expect maybe that the next one we will do what we stated on the last one. So I was very vocal yesterday off the mic with my compañeros here that I love, by the way. And today we don't violate anything. We have to just respect the process and vote. So I don't see any violation in that. And now, tomorrow, by the way, and I will finish very quick, Dan. I will just finish very quick. Tomorrow, we have a chief delegate number 3 call on Telegram, into the topics there. The pinned message, I have pinned the message on this Monday to let the people know that we are at 1900 UTC, a chief delegate meeting number 3. And Jesse has made into the chief delegate level, into the delegate level 1, a little reminder. You are all welcome to join. And also, I have asked to Jesse, please inform also the Eden members to join. So if tomorrow we have only 6 or 7 guys,
Patrick, I think this is kind of off topic at this point.
Joining this call. No, it's not off topic. You don't see the point.
It's a different meeting.
It's not off topic.
I know what you're saying.
It's the same for here. It's the same for here. We do announcement, we do all what we can. If the people are not joining, that's not our problem.
We have a tool
That's okay.
We have a tool. That tool that other people.
Your connection is very bad, Marco, when you are speaking. You are cutting all the time.
I'll try to see if I can get it. We have a tool that other meetings don't, and that's the proposal. If someone has a problem, they can propose something the next week. If that doesn't happen, we kind of got to figure that they don't have a bigger problem with it. Because a proposal would be a negative proposal or whatever. I have that opportunity. So when something goes on week after week after week, the more time we put in it, the more time it just becomes accepted. Eden Genesis doesn't have it. Nobody has it. So you're not going to use the tools here. Whatever. And, it's not like it has to be uploaded to the top. Dan will take care of the ones that aren't uploaded to the top.
Thanks, Marco. Great point. And yeah, we do have that tool. And basically, that's a tool that we can reach consensus about how to improve. One of the things I was trying to get at with my speech before is that we all have some different visions and some aligned visions, and we're trying to figure out the best way to coordinate and cooperate. And we're also using tools that we're building as we go. And we're also from different countries all around the world with different languages. So there's a lot of potential for misunderstanding about what we want to do. We're also dealing with very complex topics, like we're in the edge of innovation. So there's a lot of complex topics to reach consensus. And we have these tools to reach consensus that we're building. So one, I just encourage everybody to be patient with each other and aim to continue helping the community as much as possible. I really appreciate everybody bringing their value in their own unique ways. And as Marco was saying, using the tools that we have. So for example, if you don't like something that we did this week or something that we changed last week, or whatever, then make a poll on Consortium. That's why we set the system up, and we have a system to discuss these things. We're not perfect. We can only discuss so much right now, but we're getting better and better all the time. And at the end of the day, all these meetings, we're growing and we're getting better at everything we do here. So that's a bit of a continuation of the speech I was going over before, I guess. I also want to say, one, there's been some interesting comments in the chat about Vlad's idea too. I won't summarize it, but I recommend everybody check it out, about Vlad's idea for proposals in between meetings. That might be a way to increase possibility to approve more things. Because as Vlad said, if we had 50 people or 100 people with all different opinions, we'd move very slowly. So we have a lot of engineering work to do together. We have gone for a long time now, so I suggest that we stop the recording now or in a moment, unless there's any quick final comments. Maybe we'll end down like a go, years ago. Eden, I want to once again thanks Joe for both joining and sticking around and sharing your thoughts before, and I hope you enjoyed it, and hope to see you again soon. And yeah, thanks everybody so much for all the great work and great meeting.
A great learning experience. Thank you, gentlemen.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Perry.
Learning experience of a lifetime, adventure of a lifetime.
That's just want to. Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to say thank you, Dance Enjoy, for all what you are doing. Perry, also, really, with all my heart and my soul and my mind, that you are joining and challenging the things. Have maybe a little bit more positivity. That's just what I want to tell you. But I think your heart is pure. I hope, really. And I want just to say, our brain is sometimes stupid, but our heart is pure. So if you are joining here, it's because you believe what we are doing, I think. I hope. And thank you, Vlad. You are a good one. And thank you, Sebastian. Thank you very much. I love you. And Lenny, Lenny, the best Swedish man of the lakes. And Mackenber Sparrow, the best fighter, or let's say the best Boeing. And we have also here someone new, Space Wrangler, Joey. So now, guys, I think that's the right time to close it this one with a yeah, baby, and all this stuff, and we do something new.
I agree, but what do you want to do new? I was
Are
thinking.
you ready?
I'm ready, but I think we have to.
Or we will say go
Eden.
Fractal.
You're bugging out now, Patrick. Your video's bugging out, but yeah, go Eden Fractal sounds good though. Is it we go Eden Fractal at 3, 2, 1?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But now
right.
You are ready, Dance Enjoy? You are ready?
Yeah, first we gotta raise our hands. That's what we gotta do. Raise them both up. Let's go.
Okay. And here, Pat Novabat. Pat Novabat.
Yes, and
he's totally ready.
Perry finger.
And he will say hello to Pat Novajoy, but I am Pat Novabat today.
Okay, so, sounds good, Pat.
3, 2,
1. Go in Fractal. All right.
Yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah.
Hope everyone had a great time. Thanks so much, everybody, for the great meeting. See you next time.